Welcome to another edition of the Late Sesh. I'm Skillbo, and as always, Red Setter is here with us, and we are getting ready to burn down. I hope that everybody out there is having a good night and that you're smoking right along with us. Cheers, Red.
Cheers, Scobo. Cheers, chat. Cannabis community. What's happening, everybody? How we all doing tonight? I'm gonna let everybody get settled in here. Spark one up. I'd like to hear in chat. What are you smoking on? And hit that live chat button.
We got Dro
That way we can
Grows in
all
the house.
follow
What's
along.
happening, Dro? He found us quick. Got 8 other people just dived in. I am smoking on a salad of, it's a cross between Blueberry Quintessa, courtesy of Eagle Garden, shout out, brother, as well as some Crescendo from Sequence's Garden. So I'm having a little bit of, I'm calling it Blueberry Crescendo right now, man. So cheers, Rob. Cheers, Dab Goblin. Cheers, Christopher Sand, firing up the email. That's what I'm talking about.
You know, I've been wanting to get an email for a couple of years now, pretty much ever since I saw the technology exist. Just to keep. I'm not a big dabber, and the main reason, like I don't typically like use a torch or anything like that, and that's a huge reason why I just don't dab. It's a little more complicated for me than just tossing a little bit of hash on a bowl.
For sure.
So maybe if I had an email, it might be a little bit more apt to even tossing some hash on the email or some full melt or some maybe I'd source rosin out. Maybe
Let's
I'd be a
stick
little
with
more
the, let's
apt
stick,
to.
I'm sticking with the chilling for right now. Who else we just joined? We
Me
got
too.
we got APKAZ, Tommy Trichomes, Mormo, Elysia Gardens. How we all doing tonight out there? We got some sampling, some Wonka Bars 3. What else we got? Rob's chilling and smoking on the jet fuel. Okay. GMO and cookie shatter from Christopher. What's up, Hoss? Diamond? Before we went live, Red and I were talking about how tired he is this evening because he's been outside busting his ass all weekend long. And I asked him, I said, well, what are you doing, Red? And he tells me, cheers, Trey. Jack, he says, well, I've been getting up early in the morning and getting in and trying to work in veg and outdoor. And I said, well, what are you doing? And then he just starts breaking down all these different things. So I'm going to let him finish rolling up right there. And then we're going to slide right over and he can pick up where we were talking about before. What's up, Bingo? How you doing tonight?
We'll see what's on the plate right now. It's some of this lemon sour diesel, and it's the last of it. I got rid of the mother officially a couple months ago, I think, and this was the last round, last couple plants worth of it. This isn't the last bud of it. I have a little bit of head stashed left, but this is the last of this pheno. So it's pretty nice. It's got that little like lime pine type of scent to it,
Oh, that's
like
great, man.
lemon lime. Yeah, it almost smells like a lemon pledge type of a. But you know what, man? I have this like key lime pie leaning. It's called Citrique by Exotic Genetics in
I've had that
flower
as a
right now.
concentrate before. That's fucking fire, man.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, it's funky in veg, and it's getting really funky come
What are you
like
smelling
week
on yours?
2, week 3. Key lime pie, like
Straight key
sweet,
lime.
sweet, funky key lime pie and skunk. Yeah, it's really, really funky stuff. So I'm gonna try to hold that. And what's nice is it almost seems like it's going to like co-plant well with some of the other shorter plants that I have going. Like Apollo 13 doesn't stretch very much, and neither does
Great bait.
the grape ape. So it seems like it's gonna work well with some of those stockier plants. I'll be able to just put it in the staked positions instead of like running them under the scrogs like I do with the lengthier plants.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Well, I'm playing a game right
um,
now because I'm flowering out some GMO that I just got out from Doc Dankenstein. Cheers, brother. And so I took this clone. I held on to it for 5 days, quarantined it, gave it the old spritz down, everything else. Okay, I see you, big guy. And so when I tossed it into flour, it's probably 12, 13, 14 inches tall. So I'm banking on it growing out and filling in the space. And I don't know, man. Just it's all the different planning that you have to do for every different strain that you're going to run. You know what I mean? It's like the master plan. So you can say, well, I don't want to put the grape ape next to something that's going to get, shut out from light on because there's going to be this other beast towering over top of it, like a GG4 or something like that.
Yeah,
It was
that
a
that
good
causes
salad.
a lot of gnarly issues, and if you're connected on like the same drip line and things like that, sometimes you have feeding issues. One's a heavier feeder than the other, and that's something we were actually talking about, like feeding rates and things just a second ago too, and we were kind of well, more or less an organic situation, but like chopping and dropping or providing some type of a cover mulch, living mulch, whatever. Personally, I like in my outdoor regenerative no-till garden, I just use my grass clippings because it's the easiest locally sourced natural resource that I have available to me. I'm cutting my grass at least a couple times a week during the rain season, so that's what I like to use. I would like to use like hay or straw if I could find a nice, no spray organic source. Unfortunately, a lot of the farms around me spray, so I like to use that. But I'll tell you what, on the dual season bed that I'm working on, I was out there like planting some corn and some cannabis today. When I go into like the beds that I'm prepping this year, and I just kind of pulled some landscaping fabric off of, and I'm starting to like add some grass and some stuff on there, and I haven't started adding the microbiology yet. I still need to inoculate with some tribus, recharge, and toss a whole bunch of slew of microbes and compost out there, but one step at a time. So anyways, I'm getting into like the 2 season beds. Everywhere I dig, I'm digging holes for the cannabis, and I mean, roly polies, worms, the whole
Oh
nine,
yeah.
all kinds of worms, a whole handful. There's a dozen worms in every handful, and I actually harvested worms today. Also, I built my worm bin. I got it going today too because I had tons of eggshells and stuff. I just had to finally start, using. I'm tired of having to compost them in my grass compost. I want to get the worm castings out of the good stuff, banana peels and whatnot. So, you know what? I finally made that, and the second season beds, I'm harvesting worms out of left and right just
Hell yeah,
while I'm
man.
planting my cannabis. So it's like it's almost
It's
win-win.
it's
You
working.
know? Yeah, it's totally working. And then and while I was actually at it, I'm prepping all new bed space. So cutting grass and utilizing like, all right, well, I'm gonna make a new bed. Well, it's time to trim this tree, chop down some branches, use that as like my bottom layer for my no-till, and it's all the simple process of I kind of call it like no-till landscaping, to be honest, because it's not all just cannabis, it's not all just vegetables, it's actually permaculture. I'm growing all kinds of wildflowers, perennials, and it's just landscaping my yard out and doing it without digging, except for
Or
when I have to
disturbing
plant.
things
So
too much either.
right, right.
I want to give a shout out to Big Ed, Mike Jones, Anova, and Headcase. Thanks for joining us tonight. Um, we were talking about it, and the way we got in the topic was someone had asked me earlier, how many gallons of water do I use for my indoor 4x8? And then that got me talking about, what Red's doing because he's in an outdoor situation. But I had told him that in my experience, what I've seen is that I used to have to water a lot more. And then once I started, as Red's calling it, the chop and drop, which is where any fan leaf that comes off, all that stuff gets put in there. I even take larf sometimes if I'm too lazy to fucking trim it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'll be like, hey, you know what? You came from the soil. You're what the plant wants. You're going back in, man, breaking it down. Um, and at the same time, when I get done and I have all of the branching, I'll just sit on my little stool in there with some pruning shears and just cut all of those into 1 inch pieces. You gather them up in a big bundle, and it breaks down. But once I started covering it, I found that I didn't have to water as frequently, and so that got us on the point of talking about an outdoor grow and how you if you don't have it set up properly. Okay, Red's getting ready to work here. What ends up happening is that you have to water too many times in one day. Oh, what's up, Daddy Red? Cheers.
So this is garden prep. Oh, Daddy Red, what's going on?
Right
Cheers.
in time.
Welcome to Seeds and Stems. So this is garden prep for me. I hold on to all these, I collect them, and
Oh,
then when I get a nice big plate like this, I just sprinkle it over my garden beds out there. And as I trim, I actually try to buck them down
Break them down.
into,
Okay.
yeah, little like 1 to
It's
2
that
inch
pro move.
pieces. Sometimes I'll cut them down if I have time into even smaller pieces like that. But yeah, these are actually sitting right next to me because
It's what you do.
I'm prepping beds. Yep, and they're actually on their way out. So it's funny you mentioned that. I have bags of leaf compost from from production. I have bags of stem waste, root balls, all of that. And what I'm doing is I'm actually building kind of like raised beds right now. All the stems are going on the bottom, and then the old root balls are going to, all the old cocoa is going to then fill that up, and then that's going to be just a first season bed. I'm hoping to plant like maybe greens or something in it next year,
Sure.
but I'm going to regenerate all my old root balls, at least for the time being, and fill those up. And you know what? I have a real simple, I did it real simple with the raised beds. I stuck with simple dimensions, so I'm able to duplicate it and just stack them as I go and make them taller
Nice.
if I have to add more root balls. So try to make it real simple and as like low work and maintenance is really I have to, because I like to try to, it's just me back there doing everything in my
For sure,
house,
man.
so
It's
I
a
don't want to gate,
one man show.
it's me
Cheers,
one man job,
Aldrich. Well, and then
Here's everybody in
let's
the
think
chat.
about
Glad
this:
to see you
is
all.
people say about like, "Oh, I didn't think that about the using the root balls." Well, it's all organic matter, and it's going to break down, and it's going to be used in some way somehow. Now, when I do it indoors, when I remove a plant at the end, I have like an old army entrenchment tool, the little black one that folds in half. It's got a little saw edge on it. It's great for using for indoor bed. And so I just basically cut right around the very, very base of the stem, and I'll pull as little bit of as I can out. And then when I do my next planting, I'll plant, right beside it, and hoping that, it's going to be able to either break that stuff down, run the same routes. I don't know, but everything seems to be working pretty well. I just put 10 plants in myself indoors over the weekend. So it's the first time I've ran 10 in there. I've usually only ran 8.
Those roots are great to leave in and allow to compost as well, because as they degrade and or biodegrade, they create these little channels
Yeah,
for
chambers.
micro life to crawl around in, whether it be bacteria, fungi, worms, or bugs or whatever. So do you have worms in your beds, in your
Yeah. Yep. In fact, High and Tight
regeneration?
is the one that was asking me way earlier in the day about this very topic. Cheers, High and Tight and Abolished Farms. Ned Denver, how y'all doing
So
tonight?
that in itself is a huge reason
Yeah,
to want to have some type of a mulch on top,
absolutely.
because
That's
if
what started with the leaves, is because I had to provide them some kind of food source. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like, well,
yeah,
fuck it.
and you know what, if you just toss your leaves down, right, your worms aren't going to come out of your soil. They're not going to come out of the soil to eat your worms. You got to like cover your leaves with something else so that the worms can like have their protection to eat the leaves. They're not like, they're not land dwellers. You have to kind of bury that stuff almost.
Well, I
So it's
was moving the straw, and then I think it was last week or the week before, Spartan had mentioned to me, shout out Spartan Grown, uh, that he doesn't, in fact, move that. He just leaves it there, drops the leaves right on top, says, fuck it, they'll break down. So, okay.
Yeah, and they will. And what I'm just basically getting at is like, basically that top layer, it'll sit there and it'll dry and it might not turn to anything.
It'll
But
dry out. Yeah.
once the next layer lands on top, that layer will be eaten, and then the next layer. So and it's pretty wild how fast, like in my scenario, cannabis leaves and grass clippings disappear almost instantly.
See, I didn't bring any of
I
that
can
leaf mold indoors, man. I should have, but I'm like, fuck, man. I don't know about bringing shit from the outdoors in, man. That just
I
seems kind of
wouldn't.
like an
I
old
wouldn't
school
either.
taboo
No.
thing.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't. I don't mix my soil outside. I don't. Well, I don't mix. I don't use
It's one
indoor soil
directional. It's like a
anyways. I'm
one-way street.
cocoa
It goes
indoors, but
from indoors to out to me.
me too. Me too. If it's coming from an indoor grow store, I hope that they weren't storing stuff outside. I try to do my research and hope that their pallets aren't in back and you know exposed to the elements. I'm hoping that the manufacturer is doing the same thing. I know it's it's kind of tough to say that they are all sterile, and but I guess you got to just do your due diligence and
Yep.
quarantine stuff, or do your sprays, keep up on your IPM and all that. But
And just don't bitch. Like if I took clones in from people. I take clones in from everybody, right? But if shit gets fucked up, it's going to be on old Skillbo for not following through with my protocols. It's not going to be on Joe Donut and Willie Lunchmeat for hooking me up with some sweet, sweet genetics.
Yeah, there's just too many variables outside bringing it into the grow room.
Cheers, Red Eye Rustler. Cameron, how you doing? So far, we got 46 people chilling and smoking with us right now, Red.
I dig it. So everybody smoking on sour diesel in mine. See, fungus gnats.
Dude, they suck.
Outdoor stores. So yeah, that's a real common one, honestly. Probably one of the most common. That and root aphids also.
Yeah. Abolish says you can get burn going from your worm bin to your grow too. That's
sure.
Interesting point. Yeah.
Sure.
Elders Willie Lunchmeat. Yeah, everybody knows who Willie is, man.
Yeah, dude, you could totally have gnats and all kinds of funky stuff going on in your worm bin. You don't want to overfeed your worms. You don't want to overwater your worms. You really shouldn't have to water them at all. You should only be enough juice and stuff in there wet from all the lettuce.
Exactly.
Leaf breakdown.
Cheers, thank you, Agenda. Smoking on some Three Finger Shuffle by Straight Fox.
Strawberry Cough APK.
Oh yeah, man.
Awesome. Strawberry terps. I think I talked about a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, that strawberries and cream is starting to pull some strawberry fragrances in the air. Except when I walk in the room, there's so much Apollo 13 in the room that it actually just smells like funky and skunky and musky, So I'm like, I actually walked in it the other day and I'm like, is there water on the floor? Like, what is going on in this room? It was so musky and dank and funky in that room. And because it's like, it's that cheese, it's that cheesy, dank basement, dirty diaper, stinky foot,
that Abolish Farms
smell.
Flavor.
Yeah. So you walk in the room and it's just like, oh man, what is fun? And I was seriously looking around for like and water, dude, and it wasn't
just
there.
Means you're killing it, bro.
The res was fine, and like, man, so yeah, I guess that means that it's just really, really funky in there. So I had to go over to the strawberries and cream and get the terps on me because I had to hang out in that room for a little while. And
dude, we're talking about grape gas in the chat.
Can't be grape gas.
Grape gas. That's where I'm at. 24 karat gold hash rosin. Oh, made for Growly. Okay.
I might have to jump on some grape glee. Talk about it. It's not too gassy, but I suppose if I blended it with some Rainbow Driver, I might get a nice little.
You need to make some Rainbow Driver fucking hash, bro.
Yeah, man. I still haven't ran it through the screen. It's a really greasy, real similar to this sour diesel right here.
Jack is saying
excited too. I'm really excited too. That Gliza, it drops like sand. They
oh yeah.
When it comes on that one, it's like sandy. So
it's probably the prettiest one that I've gotten from you. You know what I mean?
It's pretty, man. It's very relaxing and smooth, sedating. It's not like a head hitter by any means, but it's not like a couch locker, but this feels good. It's a nice chill weed. It's a pretty cool smoke.
Dude, it tore the shit out of me last time we did our hash sign off. I busted into that, man. We got high as fuck.
Oh, did you? Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna guess. I mean, it does have the grape pie in it, and grape pie is known to like exceed 30%. So I'm kind of hoping that has some numbers to throw behind it. I mean, it looks pretty frosty. I'd imagine that there's some numbers on it. So I really like to get a terpene test on it too and see what's giving it that grape smell.
Speaking of flavor. Jack is saying in the chat, he says, I did a deep dive in my save story. Strawberry is an ester, methyl cinnamate. That's, Jack, I've never seen that or heard that before, but right on, man. Thanks for dropping that bit of knowledge for us.
Is that similar to the banana? I think banana is ester also, if I'm not mistaken. Could totally be wrong, though.
Dude, I totally need to bone up on that and learn more. Rob Sager with them hair pie terps. Hair pie.
Pineapple Express times maybe Moonbow. I think, yeah, I think it's Pineapple Express and Moonbow, and I chased it forever, dude. It was not Rose Gold by Archive, and I chased it. I was waiting for Speakeasy to drop it, and they didn't drop it. And they came back, and I missed it. You know, you sleep on something for a day and it's gone, type
Just
thing.
have
And
to.
I did that a couple times.
No, you can
Finally
never.
got it though.
Here's something to somebody out there. If you have something in your cart and you really, really want to run this, just buy it. Don't fuck around. Quit coming back
Yeah,
because
yeah.
eventually you're going to miss the boat and you're really, really going to be missing something special, possibly. We've
I
all done
believe
it,
in
you
those
know?
first instincts. You know, those they're like gut instinct.
It cracks me up because I think of the one time that I did a seed order was before I was involved on Instagram and met all you cool ass fucking people. Um, when I made my order, it was like I'm looking back on it now. I'm like, why did I even order that shit, man? What's bunko? So
I
I
was
don't know.
really sketchy and skeptical about ordering
Oh,
seeds online.
the coupon place, the Arby's coupons, the beef and cheddars.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, I mean, no, I do the payment methods that way just mainly because I
It's an
don't like
old
using my credit
school way.
cards.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
weird about using my credit cards on the internet stuff always. And then once it gets into like
right.
some dude selling seeds out of his basement or something like that, I get a little even more sketchy. So, you know,
They've never
I
done
mean,
you wrong. How many
I
orders have you had?
prefer many
Many.
enough to like I do like one or two small orders, and I've done larger orders. Nothing
Never got
crazy. Like
burned.
I haven't done like packs and boxes. I haven't done anything crazy like
Just
that.
got the
But
money for that shit, you know?
right, yeah, no. I mean, for me, it's mostly like I try to say collecting some of the bigger ones, holding on to them to potentially like reintroduce into the market, things like that, whether it's through pheno hunting it or whether it's just like holding it and making sure that it's available for somebody else who wants to pheno hunt it, things like that. So
Right.
I like to same deal with like any kind of stuff. I love like just retail, you know what I mean? I like buying stuff, holding it and having it available and preserving it and protecting it, and allowing it to retain and increase value and things like that. So,
Sometimes when things get put in the vault, though, they get put too far back in the vault, and you know, you don't get around to them, and you're just like, damn, I never really got a point to doing that. And Nova, yeah, I seen that Eagle is got Breeder Steve on tonight. Yeah, they should be coming on in just a few minutes if you want to switch over.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do a weekly shout out there to Eagle Gardens. He's had some really good content lately with Kevin Jodry
Oh, the
on,
Kevin, yeah, man.
and just everybody who's been on there. A lot of you guys in chat have been on there also.
Triple Thumb was in there this week.
So cheers, everybody! Awesome content going on. It's still going. I know we're finally coming out of the whole pandemic funk and phase, but we're all still cruising on this content thing, and I think it's really cool that it kind of opened up a whole new wave of people getting into it. So cheers, everybody! Rock and roll.
Cheers, Modern Genetics.
This sour diesel is really smooth, man. I'm gonna miss this, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of it, but every time I smoke it,
That
I
came to you
enjoy
as a
it. I
cut,
really
or did
enjoy
you
it.
find it?
No, it came to me as a cut. Great stuff. I mean, dude, the flowers are massive, like 20-ounce bottles minimum. I mean, they're all huge. It looks like a stacked outdoor plant. It's really, really nice to grow. It's a huge pain in the ass to trim. Um, kind of finicky and tough to dial in. As always, the last time you run something, you run it the best. And this is probably the biggest and best I've ever ran it. But it doesn't cure. It doesn't hold or preserve flavor the way I'd like it to for an extended period of time, the way that others might. It kind of starts to go a little bit sour where I want it to stay a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Uh, so and almost on that fact alone is kind of the reason. Just because terp changes so fast, like once it cures, it's a completely it's not a different terp, but it's just like I said, it's more sour than it is sweet, and it's like that lemon lime. So once citrus goes like overly sour and off sweet, it's
It loses it for you, huh?
starts smelling like fermented lemons. Yeah, kind of thing.
I want to give a shout out to Boom Farms and to Turp Farmer and Mr. Green Pots. I hope everybody is having a good one and smoking right along with us.
So I stuck a showpiece, actually, kind of a few. So the way my garden's set up, when you're walking down, I kind of like put a bunch of little grape apes going down like the walkway, on the sides. Some stuff that I can kind of co-plant with some of the vegetables in that walkway area, and then in the cannabis row, I actually have like a rainbow driver, some grape glee, flow, and then in a middle like almost showcase type of a spot, almost like a little cul-de-sac type deal. There's the Girls Gone Wild, and
Okay.
even low potency. I'm really excited to run this thing outdoors because I think it's going to get huge, and B, I'm really hoping for the purple to come out,
Really
and
come
we'll
through.
see. Yeah, we'll see how like phenotypic differences occur like with this from being outdoors compared to indoors. But I'm curious to see if it'll be as purple. I'm also curious, man. I really want pink pistols, and I know that it's almost impossible to happen indoors. I don't know if that's ever occurred, but outdoors I've seen it often on like real nice pink and purple flowers. So I'm hoping for some pink pistols. Supposedly it's like
Be
cool
dope.
nights or something can kind of cause that, or I don't know.
Well, it's a
It's
typical flower,
environments.
right? It's like 63 days, something like that. So you kind of know when you're going to be pulling. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to start to flip though. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
you never really know when you're going to pull until you see it signs of flower. So that's the tricky part about outdoor. If you're not pulling tarps or anything, doing like that.
Cheers, Mo Grower. Oh, what am I going
Boom
to have?
Farms. Cheers, man.
Bust out the. Oh, there we go. Headlights. I really like this, dude. I'm keeping this one.
What's that? That's headband, and
Northern Lights. Classics.
it makes sense. I'm over here thinking way too hard on that one. Pink pistols and heavy duty fruity strains. Mike
Yeah, man.
Jones says.
Cheers, Miss C. She's stuck in jail tonight. Tell Bows to get over there and get those Edward Scissorhands working with you right there.
That's why Jack LED. I'm not hip to it
Yeah.
yet.
Nah, but LED
Unfortunately.
is how you're going to get those colors.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too with a lot of growers who are getting really really beautiful fades at the end, like those red fades and things. I'm like, man, it's got to be the LEDs.
Ooh,
One of
KC39.
those
I remember
makers.
that. Do you remember that? The old KC strains? KC
No,
Brains and all that shit. Yeah, those are older.
I do not. I do not. Is
Polish
that
says all of a sudden I'm hungry for a 90s TV dinner. Of course.
like Kennewa
Hungry Jack.
copper? What is it? Kennewa? What am I? I'm saying that way wrong.
What?
Say that again. Kennewa. Kennewa is not the word, dude. Kennewa copper? Is
QAnon
that the
copper.
word?
Q.
QAnon.
Got you, bro. I got you.
I change a vowel. It turns totally different.
Kenny Bunk Bunk, what? This has a little bit of, I just threw a little bit of CBG in here with it as well. My back's fucking killing me today. Cheers, Robert Hazelton. How you doing tonight?
So is CBG going to keep me up
Ooh,
all night, or is it going to
no.
help on my pain and put me to sleep, or is it going
Uh,
to do
kind
something
of
else?
like my back won't be hurting, and it'll kind of, it doesn't push you back in any way, but it just kind of like, it helps me focus a little bit more. Um, and if my mind was racing, it won't anymore. Just boop, chill. I like it. I liked it so much. I actually got more of it.
Is it the same CBG? Am I right with saying that CBG is the precursor?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, all
To
right,
either
that one.
CBD
So
or THC. It can go either
yeah,
way.
so if you're smoking something that's dominant in THC, is it going to facilitate more THC out of that CBG that you're smoking? Is it going to do? Is it going to like entourage effect, like bond,
Interesting.
like you know, with in the direction of
I mean, it's got to
what
be
you're
doing something,
what you're
right?
puffing on? You
Yeah.
know, kind of like terpenes do.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to be all like scientific and shit at 11:30 at night.
We definitely don't have to go there because I've been up for. We're going on like the end of my.
Days.
Yeah, I've been up since like 5:36 in the morning. So
Did you at least do a proper wake and bake?
of course.
Of
Of course, I didn't. I
course.
really didn't get like. So okay, that's actually what I want to touch on. So indoor garden, outdoor garden. Spending time in both of them. So what I do first thing first is hop in my. And this is one of the reasons that I do get up so early is because indoor garden needs attention. Lights go off at noon, but outdoor garden needs attention early. Like you got to water it when plants are young and early roots haven't been established yet. You got to you got to get some water on there early. I don't have like awesome cover crops and established no-till beds yet, so you know I got to get out there and moisten the clay. Basically, is what I'm working with. So, um, I got to get out there by like almost 9, 10 o'clock at the latest. So I got to get up early and get in my bedroom because working in the outdoor garden, I don't want to like, oh, they'll just kind of like put my scissors down in the bedroom, stop water, and go work outside, water the garden while I've been out here for a little while. And I'm going to pop back into my bedroom and finish my task, not without a shower, honestly. And I hate wasting water like that. So I do everything like almost sequentially. So I do my bedroom indoors first, get everything all finished. I don't have to
Well,
shower,
that
go
just makes sense.
outside and
Exactly.
work
Why
in the
would
outdoor.
you do it any other way? You know,
Right.
you're doing it the smart way.
And then I'll
Uh,
go out and I'll work them outdoor all day, and then I'll come back. And if I got to finish up on the indoor, I'll do it in the evening. You know, when it cools down.
man,
Just another reason I run my lights at night too. You know,
you
kind of
got to have time to work too.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I really need to stay up late and pump the coffee and only get a unfortunate couple hours of sleep. I hate doing a couple hours of sleep, man. I'm really not into no sleep. You know, I do believe that that's unhealthy for you.
I'm gonna give a shout out to John Boy and Rob 100 says, "Holy cow! I was listening to an older show while doing my watering and didn't realize it was live." Cheers, brother. Oh, he's calling for the moist.
That's awesome. I
Moist.
said it. I paused on it last week. I decided to just go for it.
Damp, dank. Feed it.
Yeah,
Basement
man,
crawl
that sour
space.
diesel is good. I feel like
Gets
if
you
I
ready
do
to
this
go,
Rainbow
doesn't it?
Driver, I don't know which direction it's going to take me.
I know which way to take you. You're going to be eased back. Finish that joint. We'll wind this thing down. You can get
I
to bed.
know.
It's going to be good,
Probably
man.
what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Let me see here. I think my headphones are switching. They better not be messing with me. Hey, what's up, Robert Hazelton?
We got 71 people hanging out with us. I want to say cheers. I hope that you guys are smoking along with us and that the Monday wasn't too bad for you. Tuesday is sure to be better.
I'm reading chat and dying, dude. You guys
Sleep
are
with
awesome out
dead.
there. High
Grinding.
and Tight said I was insulted when you asked if I had a
Of
proper
course.
wake and bake.
You got to have the moments, man.
I love it.
If you didn't
Of course
catch
I
this
have.
week's, let me do a quick plug here. If you didn't happen to catch this week's Wake and Bake with the Groskis that we did live at 6 a.m. on Thursday mornings, if you didn't know about that, I drove to Sequence's house. And so I left my house really fucking early because we go live at 6, pulled up to his house, and we did like a dozen. I think I smoked two before I got there, and then one when I pulled up because his ass was still asleep. So I was in the truck, rolled up some Kibana, blazed down. The running joke that he and I have had for a long time since we used to go to Old Man's was that we'll get there so fucking early. If you're not up, we'll just flash the high beams in your window. So I was like absolutely happy as shit when I pulled up at his house and it was dark as fuck. I said, bet. which room is his? So I was looking at it. I was like, okay, cool. I put my truck right there. Baya, baya. Don't make me hit the high beams on you, bro.
Did it work? Did it wake him up?
Oh no, I let his ass sleep. I didn't do it till he was
Oh,
up. I fucking blasted him with the window. When I seen a light come out of the house. Dr. Ew, how you doing? Which concentrate company should I be looking for on the rec side? Let them know. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know
Element.
what they sell at rec. Do you like specific
Yeah, man.
people? Or
So if you were at New Standard Cannabis and checking out their shelves, you'd find Element there, which is definitely premium. You would also find Platinum Vapes, some of their concentrates. I'm not sure if they're only vape or not, but that's what you would find in New Standard. So definitely Element. I'm pretty sure they're partnered up, getting partnered up with those guys or something. Don't quote me on
um,
that.
people that I've had that I've really liked, as Abal was just saying, is for Girly, Dab Smith, Dogman. Um, who else is putting out really good stuff that I can say that I've had enough of?
In fact, did you get a sample of that crumble? I gave everybody a sample of that crumble at the first Old Man Herman hash back around Thanksgiving time. Uh, it was a little bit of crumble. I don't know if you got it or not. It was almost like BHO.
No, no.
That was like almost 0 ppm residual solvent. Like those guys are really really good. That was made a couple years ago, and it still like looked really really well. I got it all tested and everything. Uh, they ended up working through through a friend of mine. Ended up working some of my trim for me, and
Hell yeah.
dude, I went and got it tested, and I was very, very impressed. Test results are actually on the bottom of the container. But everybody in our crew should have gotten one. If you didn't get one, Scobo, I have more still.
I
Like,
did not. I would have been like, I've kept every one of the things that, Red's got cool jars. You know how it is. Like, you don't get rid of
I
the
think
cool
I gave
shit.
them away when you were inside, dabbing out on CBD or whatever. When I was taking off, I think I gave them away to everybody.
Taking a pussy dab and fucking missed out on the real shit,
Oh,
man.
yeah, yeah, you might have missed out on
Yeah.
that stuff, but
Okay.
I have plenty, and I'll give you
Cheers,
some.
Major
So
General. How you doing tonight?
never really had a market for that stuff, so it just kind of lingered around. But awesome test results, dude. Like almost nothing on the residual solvent side. So I was pretty impressed and more than willing to, toke on it, dab it, so with my email, or not my
You want
email,
that email?
whatever the hell you call that thing. Is that what that is? No, not an email. What is that thing? Glass nail and dome.
Oh yeah, that's the old school.
Old school, yeah. Email's a thing that I want. That's what it is. See, I did get high off that sour diesel.
Excellent,
And
man.
chatty too. Yeah.
What? Red set or chatty? Imagine our surprise.
All right, I'm gonna be crinkly with paper, Scobo. It's your turn to chat.
Well, let's see. I had mentioned that I had just changed my plants over. I go from easy swap pots into a raised fabric bed. And I had said earlier that this was the first time that I put 10 plants in there. What I have is I have 3 gigantic fucking GG4s. I have citral glue. I have a few headlights in there. I have a few skunks. One, two, three skunks, I think. And then there is the GMO. So, and then there's one plant that I'm not sure what it is. It's the old. You do the initial transfer out of the cup, and you thought you marked it, you didn't. So, I believe it's a skunk though. So, there we go. I haven't flipped the lights over yet. I wanted to give them a few days to basically figure out which way they want to go in the net, and then I'm going to flip the lights over. Hey, how's it going tonight, Chris? So, just a matter of setting up a timer. I recently just switched out my lights. For the whole time I've been a grower, I've used HPS, and so I recently just picked up 4 of the 240-watt, 660 nanometer quantum board styles with the dimmer on them. So I just got those all hung up, and I'm blown away by the light difference, dude. It's just, everything before is always yellow light and shit. Now it's all white in there. So, like, damn, I got to clean better.
So, have you experienced any kind of growing difficulties yet? Any kind of like growing pains, so to speak?
Switching over.
Yeah, with the new like maybe intensity wise.
Well, I've got them blasting on, 100%. So it's a matter of, since I have so many rando strains in there that aren't well planned, and I'm trying to figure out where the plants are going to stretch and which way I'm going to pull them or tie them down, and wrestle with them so they don't squat over top of everybody. Um, so some of the lights, instead of being perfectly level, instead of doing a single rope ratchet on my LED, what I did is I gave 2 anchor points instead with 2 eye hooks, and then you have the 4 guy lines that come off. So I took 2 guy lines and hooked it to one rope ratchet, and I took 2 guy lines and hooked it to the other one. So anybody that's having a problem with them spinning around like that, just that's my little solution. There's probably a million other things you could try, but that's how I did it. Because I don't want to have them be like cattywampus and stuff like that when I'm trying to flower out. Then there's something that's not getting lit right, and my little bit of OCD that I do have is going to really be irritated. So
I'm buckled to the ceiling with my double endeds, and I really see the benefit in having some type of pulley system. I hate ratchet ropes because you have to like get up to the actual like ratchet to like drop it. You know what I mean?
well,
Like
I
you
mean,
have to like hold
just
it,
remember that there's
pull
a
it,
smart end
wiggle
and
it
a dumb
down.
end. There's a smart end and a dumb end. Always make sure that you have the smart end in your hand that's going to be adjusting, and that the dumb end gets hung to the top. And I shouldn't have to explain it any further than that to anybody out there. That should make somebody besides Red laugh out there.
Yeah, eventually you got to get on a ladder to drop it though. That's what
Forget
sucks.
you're not 7 feet
Because
tall, so yeah,
yeah,
I feel you.
yeah, and that sucks. So I wish I had some, maybe something simpler than a crank system nowadays. You could probably do something with the app, and it's all electronically actuated, would be
Oh,
sweet.
I'm sure
But
somebody makes something that they'll take all your little dollars and cents from you for.
that's like phase 6 after
Phase
probably after I'm running no-till
6.
beds and LEDs. But
Exactly.
I was definitely, because like I didn't get much stretch this round out of the Apollo and the Death Star. I was kind of expecting them to do a little bit more stretching because they were large vegged plants. I kind of over vegged slightly, and it almost seemed like, oh, the buzzer went off.
Red's
The
dryer's done.
dab time, hash time. The that's a good one. Every time the dryer goes off on the show, because it's usually running, should
Dude,
be
me
hash
too.
time. So I think I'm gonna smoke this joint and then it'll be hash time. The
Don't make
Yeah,
me break out the
I'm just
bell.
gonna we're just
Don't
gonna
make
hit the joint because I don't know where I'm going with that.
me hold this
I
really far away
officially
because
I
Jack is
officially
driving.
lost
You ready?
track of what I was talking about.
That's for you. The bell has been rung.
So is it the hash bell or the baby come back bell?
Why can't it be both?
It's always hash time on this show.
It's always hash time. Hash 30. I wish I still had some of the Death Star hash. I don't know. Maybe I still do. Hold on. Let me dig through the collection here. What we got? Why? If
So
it's
this
my
last
my
round,
it's not my good
I
friend Red Set of
recognize
Farms.
that.
What we got in here?
I do recognize that.
Oh, shit. Well, that's some pretty bougie shit there, Mr. Red. You got here.
Bougie?
I think I do have some. You know what? I'm going to show you the
I'll have
sticker,
to get
and you're
some
going to
off
be
of the
able
new
to.
batch.
You're going to know. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, damn, you know what I wish I had? Wish I had some of that Death Star hash that you broke down with, and the first one we did, right? Check it out. Ready?
Oh yeah.
Look at the
Yeah, yeah.
sticker. It's the
Oh
blue
yeah.
sticker. So it's
Oh,
the
that
older
did
one.
something really cool when you
Oh yeah.
hit
Let me
your
do it
green
again.
screen. Yeah, it did some cool stuff. I don't know if it's gonna do it
Come
again.
on.
Oh, there it goes. Oh,
The
that's
dog on the
really
moon.
cool.
The dog
Oh
on the
yeah,
moon.
dude, it's like ET.
So
Elliot
anyway,
on his
so
bicycle.
this is the old shit, bro.
Oh,
Oh
sweet.
shit. Yeah, what is this?
It's
I gotta
I
take my old
think
man
it's the
glasses off so I can
same. I
fucking
think it's
see.
the same batch, but you know.
Ooh, let me hold this on.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hmm.
See, it doesn't change color too much, and cured up nicely for you.
Hell yeah.
It's
That's the
just a
thing
simple
about
drying
hashes
technique too.
is
I don't microplane or anything like that. I kind of, I break it up. I don't leave it in a giant block or a brick. I just make sure that it's no thicker than, a quarter of an inch. Basically like 3/16 is like as thick as I really want, and 3/16 to a quarter of an inch is like as thick as I want it really, and also broken down in little crumbles. I don't think any of those pieces are any more than probably 3/16 of an inch.
no, they're tiny.
But they'll be pancaked out. They're a little bit wide and a little long, little
This is
rectangles.
It's where I wish I had a little bit of maybe some very lemony terps to go with. This would be great. Like super lemon haze, or I think is it Dro that's the one that's always talking about the lemon Jeffrey. Shout out to Rasta Jeff on that one. I think that's the one. All right. Yeah. So,
I should have brought some down here, man. I haven't smoked too much of it. The
Brad,
flow
I
is
also
in
have
season.
this. Remember that one?
Oh, is that some dry sift?
Yeah, that's the dry sift.
That might be Apollo 13. That might be the aged stuff, dude. That might be that stuff from
I think it is
2018, I think.
because it doesn't have a label on the top.
No
No,
sticker, yeah.
no
I
sticker.
think
So that
that
means it's pre-sticker days.
No, I think everything was as post sticker. I don't think I put any stickers because I was in a hurry at the was the first one Flanks Gling Bling. So the second one was Old Man Hermit Hash Bash. Old Man Hermit Hash Bash, I didn't do any stickers because
No,
snowstorm. I was late. I got there like 4 hours too late
dude,
already.
that
And
snowstorm
yeah,
was
there
fucking
was no stickers
crazy,
that day.
man.
So dude, it
I
was
remember
really wild,
driving,
man. It took us a long time to get there, and then yeah.
dude. I was driving on 94 through the center of Detroit.
You come
Oh,
from
cheers,
so
Kate.
far
What's
away.
happening? Kate
Cheers,
showed up to
Kate.
hang out with us for a minute. Uh, she should join on late sesh again. She was on all the early ones. Um, no, I
Little
was
bro's
driving
tuning
through
in.
on 94, dude, through Detroit, and I was doing like 20 miles an hour, and you really couldn't go any faster than that, man. And it was just like, it's the craziest shit, man.
There's a lot of snow, dude. It really was.
Remember the walk out to the barn, man? The walk out to the barn was like Drift City, Drift
Yeah,
City.
it really was, man. It was like shin to ankle deep, big time, and that was like just dropped during the time that we were there hanging out.
Yeah.
And what was what maybe like second or third only snowfall that we had all year too. Like we hardly got any snow. It was warm
That
as
was
hell.
that's the dude's kid with the shotgun fucking story. Cheers. How do we say this? Jones and two grow. I hope I'm getting that right. Fridge 24, I see
I
you
think
too as
that's
well,
right.
joins.
Skillbug Jones and two grow. I got that.
I think that's what it is. It's supposed to be like
Yeah,
Jones. I got this.
yeah, yeah. Need to grow.
Yeah, anybody that didn't see any of those really,
Cold
really
turkey.
early late sessions that we used to do, go back and check those out on the channel. There's a lot of good comedy bullshit in there. It's a lot of, yeah, good times. And also, if you guys didn't happen to catch it last night, we were lucky enough to have Pedro's Grow Room on. And definitely a cool conversation. And like I told Kate, thanks for all of her input on it last night, too. Made for a great show, man. Silver Squirrel, my dude, what's up, brother? Now I'm going to have to bust out some quinoa. Ooh, you know
I think
what?
I
If
was
I
talking
make,
to
I can make a cool salad out of this.
yeah,
Throw
man.
some
Yeah,
quinoa in this.
talk salad.
Let me bust this out. Hold on. I got to grab it.
All right, I will go on. I think it was Normish Micro talking about it in chat earlier, and we were discussing Pedro's grow room, and I was talking about just like how almost like sincere and genuine of a person that he is, just divulging so much information to the community the way that he had pre like YouTube shut down, many years ago, many years, what, maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So, but when was the original YouTube shutdown? Like 2017, 2018, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, it
When they
was
when
like,
they started getting rid of cannabis content and got rid
yeah,
of the GrowTube roundtable. So what I was talking about is how like genuine, sincere Pedro is to give all that information.
yep.
I still haven't, like, during the entire time of like while the GrowTube was on and before the ban and everything, and the lapse of time until like content started coming back on, I had been actually working on my facility and building my facility that whole time. It took about, the better part of, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it's been. I think it's almost been 5 years now. So uh sorry.
Baby,
So
come back.
no, yeah, here we go, hit this joint for a second. So a lot of the information, I still like was like, all right, this is the guy to like research when the time comes, when I'm able to like get a press, because I've always been into like bubble hash. I've always been into like solventless, or like without you doing too much industrial chemical processing, things like that. Try to make it as simple as I can, as cost effective as I can, type of thing, and really just kind of um solo it out, as I could. So I was like, the press stuff is really cool. So his information, I really like, man. He was like really talking about some at the time what was pretty industry changing things that I thought was kind of cool, like
Yep.
how to actually derive, like how to like isolate THC from it, and a lot of other things. Then all of a sudden, the hammer got dropped, everything kind of disappeared. I was like, oh no, I don't know how to do it.
You had to follow
Still
him
have
over there
never
to
gotten the
Twitch.
press either way, but it's really cool that for him to give out all of that information, because like he was talking about, he was almost like what, like blacklisted, black sheep for,
They
you
didn't like him
know
for giving up the trade secrets on that.
right, exactly.
So this,
Well, how, I mean, it's been a little while, back in the day, not a lot of people gave out too many secrets, nutrients, how they grow, things like that, light
I was
cycle.
always drawn to growers like that. That's what drew me to the Grow Tube Roundtable. In
Me too,
fact,
man,
Red
me
and
too.
I are long time fans of Grow Tube Roundtable, and I've said it so many times before. But you know what? It bears repeating again, because you should always tip your hat to the people that come before you and that have inspired you to do what you do. Um, I think it's really cool that we have had three of their panel members on our show. So let's take a second and first shout out our two Michigan homegrown bros, and that would be Medgrower One and Fagroli, both outstanding growers and also great concentrate maker, a great seed breeder. That's individually for each of them. And you know,
That's
we've also
four.
had Brown Guy on as well.
Brown guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, it's really been uh phenomenal getting a chance to hang
Plug
out,
in. Just
meet,
plug in with these people.
Sesh,
Right.
virtually. Whether or not, it'd be really cool if it was at, a cup or something like that. We could all hang out. Dude, virtually is way awesome too, which opens up the doors for conversation at a cup, which is really awesome when those are back available. So I'm really, really excited, and I'm glad I've been able to be introduced to all those guys. So, Skibble, actually, I thank you, man, for getting this in sequence, and the whole community for showing support and love for the show, and everything, man. Chat and all you guys.
Show love, get love.
Without the show, none of it would be possible. And it's really cool, man. It's inspiring and
Let's what
motivating, also.
That's what I was mentioning last night. Cheers, Tyson. Is that I thought it was really cool that Pedro also streamed the show on his Twitch channel. So what it did is it introduced us to a whole bunch of new people, and I think it's really cool because that's what this whole show has always been about is the community. It's we come on here and we get. I mean, what we're saying is not groundbreaking. What we're saying is not anything else that somebody else hasn't already said before. We're just being honest. You know what I mean? But what we are is we are trying to plug in and try to meet cool people and to be able to swap information, learn new tech, maybe get your hands on some new gear, stuff like that. And it's worked out spectacularly. And, you know, I was just saying it's time to fire Twitch back up.
Yeah, totally.
Red
I
was our
thought it was
viewer.
real cool when the 24-hour live streams were just kind of just rolling. I'm sure it's a pain in the ass to monitor that or keep it rolling or
See,
whatever
that's where
kind of
you
data
should
it
be.
takes to use to
If
do
you're
it.
not streaming live, you can choose to host some other person's channel, which in theory introduces all of your subscribers into their subscribers. And you know what I mean? So it's a community building thing over there as well. Twitch doesn't get enough love. Everybody thinks it's just gaming. It's not. There's all kinds of stuff over there, and you should definitely go check it out.
For the first time, and I don't know, man, it's been at least when the last time the Michigan Bro Show aired on Twitch was the last time I've probably been on Twitch.
Yeah.
I think I probably caught like a whatever show or Dizzy and Pedro hanging out and dabbing it
I watched two
one other
channels.
time, but you know
Yeah,
what? I jumped on there last night actually and caught the. I don't know if they were still doing the whatever show or whatever it was, but basically they just kept it rolling after the Bro Show signed off. So
oh yeah.
it was pretty cool, man. I jumped on there a couple hours later. I think Sequence had mentioned that they were still up in the chat, and he was on there. And I ended up popping in, and they were still cruising and dabbing, man. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Just so much content, man. So much like there. It's kind of cool, like because smoking by yourself. I always thought that was like a silly habit. I was smoking, but I've always been a solo smoker. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you open up like things like this. None of us are smoking alone. We're all socially smoking. And I really wanted to tie this in and just talk about briefly just how cannabis is just able to unite people, is able to unite all different walks of life type of
Different
people.
age groups, man.
It age groups, their sexes, like everything. And dude, the age group thing is really cool because I really agree with
I
that
was gonna
one.
be like, "Cause you're old as fuck, Skilbo."
No. Like just like working in restaurants and stuff like that was like the first time that I really like talked to somebody on a casual level that was like, I don't know, 8 to 10 years older than me, but then like burn down with them and then actually like get to experience like, or not experience, but like understand what somebody who might be older or younger nowadays, like younger, what like life is like and things like that, because times change, and
Sure.
it is pretty cool. It gets into, I've always just been into like picking people's brains and stuff. I would always talk to like anybody when I was growing up and working in different restaurants and stuff. Anybody that was like from a different country or had an accent or anything. I always wanted to like understand your culture, try to figure out like what's it like over there, because I used to travel and stuff also. Fortunately, my mom used to work for the airlines, recently retiring, and which is really awesome. So I've been really fortunate and been able to like go to a few different places around the world and see some life-changing things at early ages. So I understand. I hope to understand. Put myself in someone else's shoes, type of thing. So I really enjoy how connecting cannabis can be, because you just get, I don't know, just get a different view when cannabis like loosens you up, and it makes you relax, and it kind of tunes you off to, I don't know, maybe whatever prejudices you might have going on in your head, because cannabis is like just this thing that does it creates empathy, and
As a DJ,
it's
Red,
awesome,
you've done your
awesome.
share of weddings, right? And I know that you have definitely seen this enough times. Is there'll be some tension, people are really, standoffish with each other until the large cipher breaks out. Somebody breaks out a joint, then you get the mixing of people that, maybe they were on one side of the aisle for, the ceremony, blah, blah, blah. But before it's all said and done, they're laughing, having a good time, and, cannabis kind of like sealed the deal for them. So there is that.
Man, in so many scenarios have I
Cheers,
seen
Rick.
I've seen cannabis either uh stop a or deter. It's more or less like it deters altercations and things like that. Otherwise, most of the time when cannabis is involved, there's usually just no altercations occurring. um in my experience, it's usually from like the guys that are standing in line at the bar too long, end up getting chatty mouth and talking to each other the wrong way, and
Right.
that's when the fights break out, and they're resistant to cannabis. They're the ones that are
Yeah.
usually like, what the fuck's that smell, like they're
Yeah.
those dudes too,
Oh, man.
so it's
Sometimes it's a
I
bummer.
rarely see violence or um hate in cannabis crowds. It's a very accepting crowd in my experience.
Let's come one, come on, man. Some people would like to say, you know what, man? Check this out. You know what I did today? I burned down a 78-year-old dude. Like, that's, dude, you'd want to tell somebody
That's not
that.
my crowd. Yeah. See all that stuff. Like, oh, you mean burned down? Okay, yeah. Never mind. I thought you were coming from the other side.
Oh, no.
Yeah, dude. You mean smoke down?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, smoke down a dude.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. And then the conversation, dude. There's a old guy that lives across the street from us. He's in his 90s. I think it'd be really cool to burn one and hear some old stories. Even though he already has some really cool stories. One of the most incredible experiences was my father's got some years on me. I have a couple older brothers that are like 15 years older than me. So my
They're
dad's
like my age.
probably my dad's like your dad's age, I think. Even though you and I have an age gap. So just being able to like burn one with him, and he might be in the chat too, listening. So it's an awesome experience. And tying the generation gaps together, all that stuff. But
It's a uniter.
man,
You know what I
it
mean? It's not a divider.
no, and that's the main reason why I surround myself with people who use cannabis, is just because they're understanding people 9 out of 10 times, almost 10 out of 10 times, man. It's very rare that you find somebody who's a cannabis user who's like, I mean, they're out there, dude. There's shitty cannabis. I mean, there's shitty people out
Shitty
there.
people, man. There's just shitty
Yeah,
people
yeah, there's
sometimes.
just shitty people. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. I don't have to go too much further. We can
No.
ring the bell on that one. So, but yeah, man, you dig. I love cannabis culture and just the way that it goes. Even like like the surfer culture, even though it has like a certain like slow rock and roll type of stigma to it. Whatever the stigma is, I mean, at least it's peaceful and happy for the most part. There's no hate and violence going on, and I
Alice
think that's
Farms wants to argue with
a
you
really
about it. He
important thing.
says he's wanted to
What are we
go.
arguing about? What are we doing? What are we doing
I
here?
said,
I'm
Abolish
about
wants
to
to
pull out a
argue.
hash.
Look at the eyebrow. He's got like the people's eyebrow jumping up there.
I guess I haven't been to enough cannabis events, but at least all you guys are cool. All the people I've seen here in this like last year, and all the people that I know are pretty cool,
Except that one dude.
except that one dude
They want to do
and
the
that other
chat.
guy, and then those three other dudes that were in line to do that one thing because those guys suck.
It's those dudes, man. Oh shit.
No, I do agree that there are some bad people. Um, chat, what you smoking on? What's going on out there?
We're just
Um,
having a good fucking time, man.
so the joint's over, and I said I was gonna smoke some hash after the joint. All right.
And
Oh,
this
that's
is
actually what I want to say is I love this show, and I love getting into like those deep hash talks at the end of the show where we just get like totally stone stupid and It almost stops talking because here's the thing, man. I've had a long day, and at some point I need to crash because tomorrow is another long day. And sometimes my mind and my body, like if I don't have something to help knock me out, or else I'm gonna have to like take NyQuil or something like that. Because guess what? I go upstairs, even if I shut off the TV or something, my mind just keeps going and I can't sleep. I'm an insomniac. And I've always been an insomniac. And cannabis has been that one thing that's always helped not keep me up all night. And it just kind of like helped knock me out, you know. At one point, if I'm smoking something like sour diesel or something that's I know is gonna keep me up, I'm gonna switch it up and I'm gonna smoke that one that's knocking me out. And it works. Or the hash, smoke a bunch of hash at the end of this night, and dude, my body hurts, man. My feet are throbbing. I've been walking on wood chips all day. You know, I need to smoke some hash, man. I need to like not feel that stuff. I need to get ripped. So let's do
We
that
need
stuff.
some of that, Red. With
What you got right there?
that
What's that?
RSO.
Oh yeah, that RSO. I really,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the most full spectrum, waxy, oily RSO when it comes. So our oven broke forever ago, so I just haven't been able to finish it off. So I still haven't done the filtering process of this alcohol soak that I have going on. Dude, it's been soaking for a few months, man. It's just
Oh,
been
just like
chilling in the
straight.
freezer.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
definitely.
been like cold chilling, so
Yeah,
it's in
that's
the
fine.
freezer in alcohol in jars.
It's fine.
Every now and then I still rotate the jars and do the thing, and so one of these days when I'm not
Has it
as busy and
gotten
I'm
much
getting married
greener?
like in the next month, you know what I mean? So like there's just so much crazy stuff. I still haven't gotten a tux or anything because COVID happened like right when I was literally the week I was going to get a tux, man. COVID happened and it set everything back. So here we are. You know what I mean? So like I was just still won't get around to making that oil. But one of these days I'm gonna get to it and I really want to I have some ideas in the head, and then we'll discuss how I did it after I make it. But
Right.
I got some ideas that I want to try working with and getting some really really good clean oil going. So I have one of those. I think it's is it. I'm gonna get this wrong. Junkner funnel, or
Yeah.
something like that. It puts a
Yeah.
vacuum under a funnel. The next best step would be a carbon filter, which would be really cool if I could figure out how to get a carbon filtered bunker. I'm sure they make something like that, and it's just expensive or
Rob
you know.
wants to know if we use MCT oil, and he wants us to respond rather quickly. Uh,
Personally, I use coconut oil or butter
which
for
is
patients that aren't lactose intolerant, but I use coconut oil personally for an edible. For a Simpson oil, do ethanol or alcohol extraction. Scoba, how do you do your Simpson or your Fico?
I start by using a magic butter machine to make my tincture. So it does all the hard work. Then I strain it out, and what I use is I have a magnetic stir heating plate. So you get with like the magnetic spinner on the bottom. So you can apply heat to the bottom of it and spin it, and it will reduce. And at the end, you end up with some really, really, really super tarry stuff because I let it go a little bit long. I think how they tell you to go until you don't see any bubbles. It just seems like it's too long, but the consistency on it is super right. Like you can move the plunger and it doesn't come out right away. You have to give it the push. So I think what I'd like to do with that is to
Do you know the trick? Have you done the trick yet?
I would love to hear the trick.
Um,
Put it in some warm water.
yeah, just run it under the faucet. Run it under the faucet, or if you have a cap or whatever, if you care. Just run it under the warm water for like I don't know, dude, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, something like that. Get it nice and warm. The viscosity will loosen up for you, and then it'll warm out.
Yeah. Yep.
Otherwise, you oh, dude, I'm
Uh-huh.
messing with that thing, dude.
Yeah. Silver Squirrel says that he is smoking on the Silver Squirrel. And I just
Oh,
recently got to sample some of that concentrate with Sequence, and it was banging. Okay, what's up, Jolly Roger? What you got?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to find my Death Star hash because you're taught. There it is. See, I thought it
Is
was
that the
out in
same
front of
one?
me. I got this is July 2019, so we're pushing a year now. Let's see.
Dude, I think that's the same.
It's the same stuff. It
That's the
was the
one.
only processing that I did of the Death Star last year.
Yeah, see, that's
The
a good view of it.
I'll try to fix this up here.
There we go. So look the
See if
same
this
shit.
avalanche doesn't spill all over my keyboard. Like
Dude, I think that's it. Yeah, you're right.
that's it.
Yeah, because I smoked the shit out of those. That's Red's Festival Ash.
Festival hash. Festival hash.
I ended up with the little baggie of it at the end of the party. It's like, nobody wants this? Shit. She gone. Baby, she's gone.
Is it breaking out the booty?
Yeah, man.
Abolish says, cheers, abolished. Yeah, dude. I'll have to toss you some of this booty here. Abolished. Get you that booty. Dude, the dementia, Scobo, you got that one last time, I think.
Yeah, I still have some of that.
Is
I'm
it
going to
stimulating for
try.
you?
Yeah, I like it.
Amnesia, Haze, and Blue Dream is the cross on that. And I actually had this like really cool.
Did you
Ooh,
see
that
that?
looks nice. Oh, it fell.
Oh, it fell right there, too.
Oh,
Perfect.
right there. Perfect spot.
No. No. That's why you keep your area clean.
Right in between
so
the thing and the other thing.
that way, if shit falls, you know exactly where it's at. Ooh, yeah. No, speaking of Blue Dream,
I think here.
Jack just gifted me some HSO Blue Dream. And,
Oh,
you know, I'm super excited for that because that is a known medicine for me. All right, so here we go. Back. Cheers, Red. This is a
what I
cross
really like.
between headlights and Keweenaw copper as the flower, which I think we're going to call. What are we going to call this shit? We can't call it Keweenaw everything, so it's got to play on the copper side of things. So, Copperhead. There you go.
Copperhead.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. The next round of Death Star, well, not next round. The current round of Death Star is pretty much all bottoms now, and it did. I don't know, but not really what I was expecting it to do. I was kind of hoping that I was going to get a little more uh top material from it, or a little more A grade, A and B grade. But you know what? It's doing exactly what the reason that I was gonna kick it about a year ago did. And I was like, maybe it was just a pH issue and I'll be able to fix it and whatever. So I tried to rerun it. But you know what, dude? It is what it is, man. It likes
I think
to
it's just the
throw
plant.
like it's just a heavy yielding plant, and it's a big plant to manage. So
Red cheese burger just right now. Look at that.
there you go. Very nice. Very nice.
That's great.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, dude, about the blue dream, man, or about the dementia was the color that it had this like blue shimmer, like a platinum shimmer, a a nice old lady's like blue gray haircut type of a shimmer. You
The
know
old
what I
lady
mean?
color.
The old blue pit bull shimmer. Yeah, dude, real cool. I'm fascinated with the color purple and also the shades of gray, the purple gray. Um, yeah, I kind of dig that. So actually, and then it was very frosty, and it was another one of those where the this is why I think the haze leaning plants kind of do this, where they drop that really
Yeah.
sandy sift. I dug it, man. Really good stuff. Uh, and I like, I always talk about why I keep stuff. We always talk about what it's all great weed, right?
Yeah.
But why do I kick stuff? So I kicked the dementia because it was a huge plant. It yielded massively, but it was just a bunch of larfy bottom. It's about management for me, being like mostly a one man show. I have plenty of people that can help, and do help, and it really helps take a lot of the efforts off. But I like doing certain things at different times of the day. Sometimes I do some trimming late at night or some stuff like that, or sometimes it's just management for when those people just aren't around, because I like to always have like the backup fail safe, to be honest. And so knowing that the production is capable of being able to be done with one person, I'm not going to completely like have to shut my doors, right? So, once I know that I'm able to actually proceed and do everything on my own. And so if I run into some of these genetics that I just can't operate by myself, I'm like, well, if I have a bunch of people helping me, cool. Like I could run all of this. But if I'm going to be running by myself, I probably should just run some stuff that I can manage by myself. And so that's kind of you know, another method to the madness right there. So.
Well, yeah, I've said before that you know I can't grow strains as well as other people can. If I get if the clone came from you, you're probably going to be able to grow it better than I am. It could be touchy. It could be that we do things completely differently. Sometimes it's just certain strains want to be grown a certain way, and you just happen to be growing them that way. So instead of completely overhauling your grow to suit this one fickle fucking plant, a lot of times it's better to just try to keep your buddy keeping it around so that you make sure you have a hookup on it. Yeah. So
Yeah, and at the same time, I like having that room because there's so many new flavors out there, and sometimes when someone's just been sitting under some old ass T5s for so long, they just don't snap back as great as they used to. Maybe they've epigenetically drifted, maybe they haven't, maybe they just need to get under some sunlight for a few weeks and reestablish themselves, or
well,
which
you
I
just
plan to
don't
do.
clone a sick fucking plant. That's number one
No,
is don't clone a
no.
sick plant. Number two is don't flower a sick plant unless you want a sick ass yield like that.
Oh, you get a horrible you. I want to answer
It's
high
like
and
you get
tight.
a horrible yield.
I'm on the fence. I'm not really on the fence about the Death Star. I'm pretty much yeah, I think I'm gonna kick it.
Done with it.
Like I said, it's just a big plant. Like I get like I don't know, the yield would be awesome if I wanted to sit there and spend
Trim it all.
crazy amount of time trimming all of that larf. I mean, small little buds like that, if I had a processor, that'd be great. Like here's freeze all that stuff and it goes to a processor, right? That's another thing. I'd pretty much have all my material that I process and do on my own thing. So I take, all that bottom and it turns into really great bubble hash, as like we're smoking this really good bubble hash because we did
And that's what it's from. Right.
cured flour run, right? So I kind of, it's all right. I don't always just hate the larvae plants and the high yielding plants because I get a chance to make awesome bubble hash out of it. And actually, the Dementia and the Death Star were two examples of that. But for the most part, I really like the flavorful, larger, yeah, density. I don't really mind density too much. Like it doesn't have to be a dense flower, but I want something that I can like. If I can trim on an average of, a good 100 grams per hour. If I can get between 100 and 120 grams per hour, um, ideally
Doing a
120
good
grams
job,
per
not
hour.
just fucking mangling the shit.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, yeah. A quality, top shelf flour. That's like ideal trimming speed or ideal trimming like quality for me. Once it starts getting into kind of crappier stuff, like if it's taken an hour plus to get
For
through
larf, I'm
an
not trimming larf like
ounce,
that. No, fuck that.
no, and I mean I can make an ounce of C grade look like B grade, but it's not worth
Takes a
that
while.
time.
Yeah.
At the end, I'd rather just grow a better plant and grow something that is easier to manage and lollipop those bottoms, put more focus onto the top of the plant type of stuff. And I mean, the Death Star I did lollipop, and that it's just a crazy leafy, lot of leaf, a lot of little stuff. This is Rainbow Driver, but a lot of little stuff like this. So
Yeah, I
little
mean, that,
like
dude, that takes a
this
long
I'm
time
not
to
trimming.
trim.
You know what I mean? This I'm smoking. This is head stash.
Right. And I'm
Um,
using.
if I look through there and I see stem, I'm not gonna trim it. But at this size, I mean, look how big. I mean, it's barely bigger than my fingernail. At that size, if it was a little more dense, and I looked through it and I didn't see stem, and it was a dense little like marble, I'm gonna trim that. And if I toss it in the cup, it's gonna go clunk, and you're gonna hear it hit the bottom of the cup because it probably like a point 3, point 4 bud. I'll trim that, and actually that's good B grade. So it all depends. But with this one, if I see stem in there, I'm not trimming it. That's larf to me. If stem
Cheers,
is not.
Delta 9, coming from Chicago, from the Windy City. Dude, that hash pushed me back.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one for me. It's definitely gonna help ease the workload's pain and set
Oh,
me
yeah.
right for the night and for the morning.
Well, you got to get up, man. So we got to get the hell out of here. We've been on here for almost an hour and a half now. Comes early, though, bro. The problem is, Red's got a ways to go still.
We covered all the bases, man. That was pretty much the day. I think we got the worm ban. I got that going, and you know, been working on the
Now, are
on
you
the.
going to throw some red wigglers in with those worms too, or are you just going to run the
I'm gonna
whatever's in there?
see what the population. I'm gonna see how many I killed through harvesting them. I'm gonna see how many repopulate. I'm gonna see what happens. There are some larger like earthworm type of worms, but I guess that's going to create a larger casting. There are some smaller ones, and there are some little red fuckers. So I'd imagine the little red fuckers are red wigglers.
The red
Most
wigglers are the
likely.
ones that are supposed to
So
stay more towards the top, and I think it's the I might get this wrong. It could be I think African whatever night crawlers or something are supposed to be more for like the lowers. Definitely don't take my word for it. Just look into it. Psst. Rob saying, "Can you go
dude, you
until
know what
about
I'm
two
really geeked
twenty-five?"
about?
Hell no. Red's never going to make that long. But Eagle will be streaming at that point still, so you definitely can still find content. Red's over there dying on me.
If it wasn't if it wasn't so nice out and I didn't, I'm basically playing you know hit the deadline, getting starts in the ground and stuff like that. So if it wasn't so crazy, I would totally be down to just probably talk all night and have a late night and all that good stuff on a good Monday night sesh. But we've had some nice weather, and I really have to take advantage of it. And I guess what's the old expression? Make hay while the sun shines.
So, cheers, nutrient shootouts.
Yeah, man. And dude, that's one of the best things I like about summer. Dude, there's only a few hours of darkness.
No,
Sun's out
it's
all day long,
get it.
man. Get it while it's out. And because here in Michigan, I don't know, for whatever reason, we have a depletion of vitamin D come winter. I don't know if these statistics are real. Some silly news article from a few years ago stated that next to Alaska, Michigan's like the most depressing state because of the lack of sun that Michigan actually receives. I don't know if it's true, but I can believe it considering we only had like
Nah.
maybe a half of a dozen sunny days in maybe like a 4 month span. I don't know. There's rarely in the wintertime do we get a nice sunny day. It's mostly overcast, cloudy, and pretty gray. But we've had some beautiful weather lately, and I'm definitely
Tomorrow's gonna
taking
be hot.
advantage of this. Yeah, man, it's a perfect time to not have air conditioning. It's a
Yeah,
perfect time to try to manage a.
builds fucking
Uh,
character.
it's a perfect time to try to manage your crop. I don't know. That's totally something I could sit here and talk about another half hour on. Is I harvested and have to manage my crop without any air conditioning or dehumidification like in the house, and that's
Rough.
not been easy at all. So fortunately, lately, I mean, we've had a nice, cool spell. and the humidity dropped. So hoping that the humidity will kind of stay down for me until his AC gets fixed, which will be very soon. So
Eddie B said we just had snow a week ago. Yeah, but last month. Last month.
yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't happen here because I'd like for my cannabis garden to actually survive this year. It'd be awesome,
Dude,
man. I'm really
I threw
really
two plants out
go
this
ahead.
year, and we're gonna see what happens. Last year
Nice.
something got them, so this year I have two Spartan glues, and I really, really. It's not that I'm putting them out there to like, ooh, I can get more weed, or like, ooh, this is cool. I can go over this and do this rec and blah blah blah. It's more along the lines of, you know what? I've been growing this plant for several years now, but I've always done it indoor. I'm not gonna fuck with it out there. I think I might hit with a top dress or two, maybe, and more just make sure that it doesn't die. That's all I'm gonna do. It's in a very well hydrated area, so it's definitely not going to dry out on me. But it's kind of like the touch and go. I did it a week ago. I haven't been back there yet to see whether it survived the transplant. So if it didn't survive the transplant, don't worry. I got more. We'll try something else.
Miss C might like this and Bolish might like this because they Miss C personally has asked me, or I mean Miss C specifically has asked if or why I don't toss my mother plants outside and I just kind of chop them up and compost them. And usually it's because like the mother plants are so old, they're a year old, and there's not much life left. In, but there's like 3 feet of wooden stalk, and they would just be crazy mangly plants. And I usually don't get good results with them. It's almost like negative returns on them. So I actually had a flow mom. I had two flow moms, and I was like, you know what? Two of them, one of them just kind of shading the other one out. They're just kind of
Yeah, no
crammed in
worries.
this
Fuck it.
space. I'm gonna take this one flow mom and toss it outside. So I did, and so I actually do have one of my plants is decent sized plant. So I'm really excited about that one. Lots and lots of branches. I'm going to bring home some trellis netting, and I'm gonna
Fire all the
lay
way
it
down.
out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna try to do some type of
Some
like a
tent
scrog
stakes.
in the outdoor. Yeah, I'm gonna do some like wooden stakes or something, like, and then I forgot what the other thing that I was gonna say was. Damn, but
Damn,
that's what that was.
that's
I
good
did want to
hash.
shout that one out because I was thinking about that. I was like, I never really tossed moms outside, but this time I did because I had an extra one.
Yeah.
Man, I just been running through my bedroom because like sometimes I'll take a couple extra clones just to um keep up and make sure I don't run low on anything. So and those couple extra little grape apes, man. I was gonna run like a 12 pack of grape apes. I was like, I'm gonna run a 12 pack of grape apes down this row and it'll work out fine. And I was like, you know what? Those ones are gonna go outside. I just so happen to have those 12 extras and I tossed them outside. So
So when you ran that grape ape outside, did you get? It's not like a huge yielding plant, so I'm assuming that you got less than half a pound off of a plant outside. Probably more along the lines of maybe a quarter
yeah,
per plant.
it's a typical like 4 to 6 ounce yielding plant. I would say you could easily get a half pound off of it outdoors. If it, I would think that it could get a solid like three. It would get like a cubic yard. You know what I mean? Like it would look like a little cubic yard. They're fun to grow, man. It's kind of a pain in the ass because of how many leaves it has.
Really
But
have
if
to
you
thin
thin
it
it
out
out right,
in the middle, right? Because it's
yeah,
never going to get
yeah,
lit up.
yeah. You gotta like node thin it. You have to
It's got the really wide leaves, small wide leaves.
real
Right.
long petioles, like petioles that are like crazy long. Like they'll
Oh
stretch
shit.
out and then the leaf will be out and really long fingery leaves that almost like because of how short and stocky and purple it is. We were talking about this yesterday about indicas and sativas. You'd almost think that it was like classic indica broadleaf, like Granddaddy is a good classic example of a nice broadleaf. But like no, it's like and it's not really narrow leaf either. It's kind of got like it looks like a hybrid leaf, right? It's
Right.
real long. It's got a huge long, it almost narrows out and tips out, but it has like a little bit of a broadness to it in the middle. It's really, really cool plant. One time, I don't know what I did, um, but it mutated and grew a bract, like three bracts, grew out in the top of the leaf. One time, like maybe 5 years ago, I think it
That's it.
happened. And I was growing it side light. I wasn't even under a light. I was kind of side light, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I'm sure pH issues were an issue. I'm sure light leaks were an issue, and I'm sure like a whole handful
It's
of
a
other things
litany
were
of
an
things that were
issue.
going on
I
there. It's a
probably left
lot.
my green lights on for like 48 hours.
You
I'm
know,
sure my air conditioner
fucking
bailed on
wigged
me
out.
for a bit of time. So like perfection does not always occur like in your grow career. Those first like that first like half decade to a decade to probably I'm going to continue probably making silly mistakes and like
Sure.
overflowing my
Yeah.
reservoir and mixing newts wrong or doing stupid stuff like that, probably for the rest of my life. But like it's an ongoing learning experience, man. You're always
And you
going
got
to
to
like
learn to
have
laugh at
those.
yourself too. Like, cut yourself some slack,
Totally.
man.
Totally.
Don't be
Yeah.
so harsh on yourself. Like, the big thing is are you making the same mistake every run? Because if you are, now it's a problem. I should do a copper run outdoors, Silver Squirrel.
It's
Hmm.
almost a ongoing joke, right? That we always say, "Oh man, next run, that one's going to be better," and you have to do it. Like you can't like diminish your returns on the next run and like continue like having these
Oh
crap,
no,
crap, and then the next one's even worse.
no,
Next
because
one,
now I'm
you
really
know
gonna
what
be
I
hard on
mean? Like you
myself, dude. I'm already
cannot
fucking
run it
up.
like that.
Yeah. I was always happy by that. My running thing is third time's a charm. First time I run it, it usually struggles if I didn't pop it. So if I received a clone, I don't expect the clone to be a shining, exemplary example of what I can do with this genetic in my garden. The second time, you're going to start to make up your mind about, oh, well, it is kind of like this from the first run, but it's better in this way, but it's lacking in that. So by the time the third time comes around, I've already made up my mind whether, yes, this is something that I want to take clones from and I want to keep, or no, I'm going to let it go this time. So what ends up happening is I'll take clones one more time of it, and I'll take just one clone off of each one. Be like, okay, cool. And at the end, winner takes all. I just flower those last two out and only clone the one. But otherwise,
That's a good point, man. That's a huge reason why I kick older plants or plants that I maybe excuse me,
you've
sorry.
given them a chance.
You give them a chance. Sometimes to run a plant 3 times takes the better part of a year, if not the better part of 2 years, just because I'm
Yeah.
cycling through
Uh-huh.
medical patients' plants and things like that. So for example, I'm pretty sure I did this archive pheno hunt. I started it like way more than a year ago, and I'm finally like into production with this rainbow driver. I think I
Yes.
hunted this out like long ago. So,
Last fall.
yeah, easily last fall. Yeah. So, the sometimes it's just like to get rid of a plant, it's just not putting out anymore. Or, dude, I forget what the hell I was going to say, man. With that, I started talking about last fall and I got totally distracted. Never mind.
Yeah, man.
It's good
So
ash show.
good ash. It's working. Cheers. I hope that everybody out there is still smoking right along with us. What am I going to grab this time? I'm going to grab this jar. What are you going to be? Oh, right now. Skunk one. Cheers, abolished. Cheers, Miss C. This is their clone that I got off of them. This is Canuck Seeds. This is going to be a great salad in the morning when I wake up, man. It's going to be a motley crew of fucking meds. I had some abolished earlier today. I try to run through it all. You know, we were talking about strains and what you should keep and new shit and everything else. And since I grow literally my own medicine, I have stuff around for months because it's just me. I'm not a caregiver. So I don't have a lot, but it takes me a long time to go through things. So if you had, let's just play the game here. If you were running 6 genetics in your garden and you're allowed to have 12 plants for medical and 12 plants for rec, let's just say 24, would you dedicate a certain number of that to each one of those jars? And what I mean by that is if you had all the jars of all 6 strains to smoke all the time, which jar would you be going into the most, or which one do you think that you'd be trying to smoke the most of? It's probably the one that you should be running every single time, and maybe phasing some of the other things out. If that jar doesn't get picked up, you know, why are you still holding that genetic? Why are you still running it? You're, you know, it's cheap, but it ain't free. How's that sound?
Yeah, I still think I'm gonna end up probably kicking like the Grape Ape and maybe even the Apollo 13 eventually. We'll see.
Ooh,
I've been on the
no, I think
fence
you're gonna
about the
keep
Apollo
that one.
13 for a while. I probably will too, dude. It's a pain in the butt until I get.
It's a
All
pain.
right, here's what's going on. Okay.
Oh, he's going deep diving on this one. She's about 2/3 out the
Yeah, man.
door.
I need to get under a better veg system. Once I'm under, I think LEDs and actually have some lights that aren't just gonna fade and do T5 suck after what, like, I don't know, a couple months they lose their spectrum, they lose their intensity, and again, diminishing returns, dude. It's just it just starts to happen, and that's what eventually is going on. And then a ball burns out or something stupid, right? So um I have not been investing into my T5s. I'm trying to invest
Get
into
out of them.
LED and get out of it, right? So that's basically the next step, and I'm going to try to hopefully keep up with the Apollo 13, because as of lately I've been managing, I've been able to do it, but it's a little more difficult to like hold a mom. It's a little more difficult to veg and things. Not that they're a smaller plant, but it almost requires some more light. It really likes to bush and branch and stay short. It likes to just go wide. And it's a pretty funky, cool plant. I mean, it's a great daytime med. Sometimes I get a little burnout on it, but I don't know if that's just like the terp profile or what. But it really is a nice smoke. It's really smooth and cool, and like the cheese is really unique.
Well, I
We'll
know
see,
that I
man. I
want
don't know.
you to
See
definitely
what comes
keep
through on pheno
the
hunting.
the rainbow driver, dude. And if you do get rid of that, I need to get a cut of that before you kick it out because that shit was, ooh, man, that checked all the boxes for me. Had the nice dosey do flavor was in there as part of the more complexity of it, and the medicine side of it really pushed me back in the chair. So that's a keeper.
See, it's that like fresh rubber smell of it. That like it's almost that's old school to me. That's like I remember old funky rubber smelling weed. You know, it was like good weed. So that kind of like takes me back almost. It's really greasy. I really like it, man. I don't think it's going anywhere.
And
I
the
think as
buds are
of right
like
now,
pretty
it's
fucking huge too, dude. Those were
dude. They're
like
yeah,
substantial.
yeah. They're like little hand grenades.
Yeah.
Probably second next to that sour diesel, but definitely probably twice as dense as the sour diesel. Really big buds, man. And then it pretty leafy, but the leaves are just loaded with trichome. So a lot of it is just kind of like
So process
part
them.
of the calyxes are kind of like beady and small. It does have a slight like fingering or almost natural foxtailing opening. It almost has like a little bit of like a sativa type of a thing going on, but at the same time, it represents that almost in the that skunky, funky, and like almost slightly daytime, without anxiety, high.
And it's kind of some
Really,
good mood stuff too. You know
that's
what
what
I
I
mean?
mean, man.
Like,
Yeah, very low on the anxiety on this stuff. It's really, really good smoke. To be honest, man, it really is. Like, I've been using it for my daytime, getting nice and high and motivated and focused and ready to
you don't
go.
want to go too deep with that too early, though. It doesn't give you
It's
energy.
not a clear-headed like
Oh no.
you can continue. Like, you gotta smoke one and go do. You can't smoke three of these, or else you're just gonna be like, duh, you know, and probably take a nap or something. Because
Happily.
it is like a pretty solid hybrid, man. I really like it. I really do. I don't think it's going anywhere. I want to say that it's probably the most fragrant. Like, okay, the grape glee's fragrant fruit. This is like probably the most fragrant, like funk or like skunk type of not really skunk, but like funk type of a smoke that I had for like gas or anything like that. I definitely don't have any like gas besides. This is more of a. This is way more gas than like the Granddaddy. Granddaddy gas is like a gasoline, like you got a gas can sitting in your shed and you open up your shed and it hits you in the face type of smell. This is more like a, I don't know, like you're going to like the racetrack and there's it's more like av gas. This is more like sweet, more like av gas type of a fuel, you know. It's nice. Methane or something.
Man, stone.
Dude, I've just been rattling off words so much. I haven't kept an eye on chat at all. I apologize. What's going on, chat?
They've
Oh
been,
yeah, Bracy, hi Rob Sager. Yeah, it's definitely got the profile for it too.
yeah.
Totally.
I think that's why Abolished likes the sour melon so much, is because it's a combination of energy and good mood for him. Which, hey, if you know what you're looking for in your medicine, get it.
So, someone I love near and dear. Her first time smoking weed probably since she was a kid. You know, and it's been a little while. Has been was the Apollo 13, and we were like, she had like a whole bunch of garden work to do. You know, and a little bit older and had knee, back pains, had a couple surgeries, things like that, and she smoked some of that and did all of her garden work stuff. And ever since, you know, I've given her a little bit of this, a little bit of that. She's always been like, "What was that saying? What was that one stuff?" You know what I mean? So I know what one she needs. So it's almost in season. It's, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. It's probably like 6 weeks out still,
Yeah.
but eventually the Apollo 13 will be back in season, and yeah, she'll be able to get her garden work done. So I'm really excited. I might
Yeah.
have to hold some
Because
of that off to the side now that I know.
that's what you were smoking when we did the original podcast with you. We were all about that.
In the original meetup, when I first met Sequence and Abolish, Spartan, and all those guys at Clio Cup, excuse me, was I had Abolished, and I think I had Rosaberry with me. I
Yep.
want to say it was those two strains. I want to say I had some Gray Bape with me, but I was so low on supply. I didn't have like any like
No.
premium stuff. I was like, oh man, I don't know what is gonna like I'll be able to showcase or anything. But I was like, oh, I got Apollo 13. I mean, that's some pretty funky stuff. So I did bring that and sat there and smoked Sequence down with, I don't know, man, joint after joint after joint, because I don't shut up talking. And then he eventually left and went and looked for his keys for, I don't know, 14 hours all night. And old man and I sat there, and shout out old man. I hope he's watching somewhere back in the cut. And
Yeah, man.
he and I sat there and talked for another, dude, I don't know, a couple hours, until they were pretty much talking about shutting things
Talking
down.
about roll out.
They had a good Deadhead band going, so I walked out and kind of hung out and
Yeah, they had some different music, dude. It was pretty good all day
listened to the
long.
rest of like Terrapin Station or whatever it was for another, I don't know, 35 minutes, and took off, man. You know, I'm joking about hanging out for 35 minutes. That was a pun on Terrapin Station being 35 minutes
You tell them, Red.
long. Anyways, dude, I hope that we get a chance to do something at least like that, because an event like that, I think that we'd be able to, I don't know, social distance, some type of some way they'd be able to implement some sort of a thing. I don't know, man. Like mask wearing and smoking, I don't think is too feasible. Things like that, but like we can all very easily like independently smoke and things. I don't know, man. I'm all
Well,
about
what you could
a
do
meet and greet.
is you don't have to share the smoking apparatuses, but
Right.
you can share your butt with each other by, hey man, here, check this out, and throw the jar your way, and you say, hey, check this out, throw the jar my way, bust some up, roll it up, you know, and there you go. Abolish, get everybody hyped up in there for that sour melon clones. You know what? That could be what that other plant is. It could be a sour melon instead of a skunk. I bet you it is.
Are you supposed to have one lingering around and it's not there?
Could be. Hmm. We'll find out in a
Rick
few
Wolf
weeks, right?
says a cut of that would be heaven.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Hmm. I said we'll find out in a few weeks. It'll definitely show itself. Show
Yeah, that's always
yourself.
that one thing, and I've done that before where I had this one cut and it looked a lot like Apollo 13 actually, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the Apollo 13. I labeled it, and I ran it. And it was this I called it the Doctor, right? It was a seed I was trying to run. Now I had pheno hunted a couple of my own crosses. One of them was a grape ape actually hermed, or no, grape ape didn't herm. Grape ape got a seed from another herm many years ago, and so a few years ago I popped one of those grape ape seeds. And I called this thing wild grapes. And this thing was fucking purple, dude. It was huge and it was purple. And it was musky and funky. And it was like, had this real wild, like myrcene like flavor to it, right? And it like knock you on your ass. But it was just like little popcorns, all little popcorns. It's kind
That's
of
what
a
I've
pain in the
always
ass
seen
to
it
do.
as, is smaller buds, but they were super dense, and
The
they still
grape
have
ape that
shape.
I run is they're yeah, I mean they're little nugs, and it would fit it. The difference in this plant and the grape ape that I have is this plant was a huge plant, and the grape ape that I have is like a little plant with big leaves. This one has big plant, little leaves.
So what pollinated it? What
I
flipped
have
over on it?
no idea. Whatever
Some big ass
pollinated my
haze or
whole
something. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
dude, yeah. Something that has I ran these plants called like rosaberry. Uh, dude, who knows, Scobo? I to be honest with you, man, it could have been those. It could have been these other seeds. I've tried like running so many like messed up like fem herm seed stock in the
He's,
past that like
you take it
who knows
all.
where other seeds have come from. Yeah, I've definitely like learned my lesson and ran my fair share of
It's like
like
the calico cat of
crop stuffing.
genetics. There's all kinds of weird shit.
So I'm trying to think back to the time frame because it was probably seeded with what I think was like one of these bloodberries that I think seeded everything out.
Okay.
And they were kind of nice, man. They're like pink, pretty big plants. So, anyways, I don't even know why I got derailed on the wild grapes. I was talking about the 4 pack of you were talking about the plant that you don't know the tag on, and so I was growing the
Exactly.
4 pack of the Apollo 13.
Gotta give you
And the
credit.
one
You
plant
didn't
that looks
even need to be
similar.
told to
So
come
the
back, bro. You had it.
the doctor. I'm telling you, man, it's the weed,
You're
dude.
on
I
it,
don't
dude.
know. Maybe I'm not smoking something I'm usually smoking before the show. I don't know what it is, but it might have been the sour diesel start. It could have been that. I don't normally smoke that. So, anyways, you can see how like cannabis can really facilitate your mood, right? So, like, um, here we go. No, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. So
Ah.
that 4 pack of plants in the Apollo 13, the doctor, okay. So Dr. Death Skunk was supposed to be this high CBD, and it was really cool, man. I got this long fingery, little short, almost sativa like looking plant, really dark, almost black like type leaves. It was really cool. I liked it for its more or less because of its like color, and it had a pretty cool smell to it too. It was like you like that like floral like pepper funk.
Yeah, man.
um and it was really relaxing and really nice, but it didn't really get you that high, and you could totally tell that it was like a 1-to-1 or something, right?
There's definitely some CBD in there.
That one had a couple of seeds at one time, so I saved those, right? So at the same around the same time that I ran
Second
that wild
generation her.
grapes, yeah, oh dude, I've done these second generation herms. I've heard because like this is all pre-education, right? This is all like me
It's
experimenting. Very little professional knowledge passed my way aside from like dudes in green suits on videos and people who you never see their face because they're always in bandanas and sunglasses and bro science and a couple of books that I had
bro
that
science
you
on the
know
backs, on the shoulders of other bro
not that hands on.
science.
Right, dude. So, so there was only so much I had to do a lot of experimenting and trial and error on my own. And, I did. So, so this four, dude, back to this 4 pack of plants that we're never going to get to. We're going to
Before
dance
you
around
do
this
this one
four
more
pack of
time, it's
plants.
that magical time because Alex is in the chat says it's wake and bake time. So we have made it to somebody's official wake and bake. So good
Awesome.
morning.
Cheers, Wake and
That's
Bake. Good
fucking
morning.
awesome. Late Sesh has
Hope you
turned
have a
into the wake and bake.
hope you have a bright and sunshiny
Go
day.
back to that 4 pack, Red.
Alex.
Let's see if we can do it.
Yeah, so the Dr. Death Skunk Funk had a seed, a few seeds. So around the same time I ran this wild grape. So this is maybe let's call it 2017, 2018. I ran these. Actually finished it out just before the bros. I probably have a bag of this wild grapes here with some popcorns. I'll share with you so you can
Holy
actually
shit.
try this shit out. To be completely honest,
Is
again,
anybody
it was
following this in the chat? I know we got somebody turning in circles out there.
probably
They're
not, dude. Probably all over
what
the
the
place.
fuck is this dude saying? I don't even
What's
know what
this
he's
dude
saying.
talking about, man? He needs to quit smoking sour diesel. So, all
Four
right.
pack red.
So I grew out the seed of this Dr. Death skunk, and I called it the Doctor. Okay, not really knowing what the male was off of it or anything, but I knew that the female was Dr. Death skunk. That I had to eventually kicked. I ran it a couple times and kicked it. So I was hoping to come back to the high CBD. This same time, I was also pheno hunting. I think the Rosaberry and a couple of DJ Short things, blueberry, and a couple of these others. So I get the Doctor, and it flowers out nice under those single ended in the small pots, keeping it small. Doesn't really herm, doesn't do anything crazy. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. It has a really really cool, funky, like a real unique terp to it. It was
It's that second generation Herm turp. That's what that is.
it
That's
was
why it's
it was a little
unknown.
pine. It was a little pine, and it was really nice. It was a second generation herb terp. But let me
There's your
tell you what that
hashtag.
said, dude. So I had like, I had this one in there, and backed up, I had like 3 or 4 of them going in my other room, right? And this one, and I had a 4 pack of what I thought was Apollo, and this one, and we day like 7. I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, they're starting to stretch a little bit different. This one's like taking off a little bit different. These other 3, am I feeding it weird? And I'm like looking, I'm like going through all these other variables, right? Stupid fucking gnats. You in the basement,
Life of a
doors open down,
grower.
no AC, dude. Sucks. So, anyways,
Killing you.
no, I don't want them to hit my grow room. They're actually from outside. They're not actually from my grow room. It sucks. Like I don't want them entering my grow room. So it's been a bitch. This is the whole outdoor season, though. Anyways, derailing again.
It's off road.
I want to finish this. The story is gonna get finished, dude. This is gonna be the longest, like, what should have been a 2-minute story ever. So,
I'm letting it ride with it, guys. I want to see where it goes to. At this point, we're invested
it's
in it.
great
We've got to
because
find out.
the end is just it's stupid, dude. It's such a, I mean, it's a reason that I love growing so much. So, anyways, I'm watching this 4 pack of Apollo 13, and the one is just taken off a little bit weird, but still the leaf, the structure, everything is still kind of looking the same. And I'm like, all right, what's going on? So eventually I'm like giving a little stem rub and things. I'm like, all right, this thing's starting to get a little bit of a different nose to it. This is kind of weird. What's going on with this Apollo 13? Still feeds all the same, I don't know what's going on. So all of a sudden it dawns on me that I had this extra Apollo 13 back in veg, and I'm like, oh shit, that's what happened. This is Apollo 13 here, and I thought that was the doctor, so I got him. I got the doctor and the Apollo 13 fucking mixed up. The long narrow leaf cultivars all look the same. For whatever reason, they're both like bushed out the same, right? And then so I have these other like three or four backed up in veg, and they're going into
It's four
flower right
pack.
now. No, no, no. We're going back to this.
No, we
The
were going back to this
doctors.
fucking 4 pack one more time.
This back to this four. No, 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 I didn't go to this four. I had the four that were backed up. These four are backed up.
Bruh.
The doctors four are backed up. Okay, I think we're off the 4 pack now. I've already established that this one.
Moving on. This is third generation.
Moving on. Third generation. They finally get through. They're further in the flower, and I'm like, that's definitely not Apollo 13. It's definitely something different. It's a doctor. And I'm looking at it, it's fucking Hermes. And I go back in the other room, and I've already got him in the flower at this point. The other room's on like day 28, maybe 30 something. The other room's on like day 7 or something. And I noticed that one plant is starting to throw bananas, dude, like crazy. Like, I mean, like, this is what you get for like propagating a herm from seed, and do this thing's ding, 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 ding. I mean, all over, and I'm going, no. So I get rid of it, the best I can. I'm going in my other room, and I got like half my row, basically an entire light, and I had everything that was backed up behind it.
Is that where that AJ came from? Remember the AJ bag?
No, dude, but that was another. No, the AJ was actually testers. Those are testers by Canrado. Those were apple juice and. Ooh, I don't remember what the other one was on. That was apple juice and something. Apple juice and pacifier or something like that. I don't know.
So back to this 4-pack.
So back to this 4-pack. So turned into a 3-pack. Was able to harvest because I had to get rid of. I composted that herm, that later herm. Fortunately, in enough time, and then ended up having to take like an entire light's worth of plants out in my other bloom room because.
Yeah, you can't risk
it. And here's the reason why I keep an extra few plants backed up now is because I didn't have enough to throw into that early bloom slot. I was screwed. I had to like basically shut off a light and wait to get something to throw in my perpetual, and I was like, oh my God, dude. So
talk about taking it off the rails right there.
I'm really sorry that it doesn't have like some crazy explosive like ending or anything like that.
No, we were getting to the point where we were talking about third generation herm terps, and I really wanted to see where that.
But at least it was a good story for the most part. Yeah. So I mean, moral of the story is, don't like well, I guess experiment if you want to experiment, but don't put like non-experimented with plants into like a production room that is supposed to be
if you wanted to fuck with it, like buy a small tent
purposes for somebody
and run it and see if it's your silver bullet, and then hopefully you aren't. The problem that I would have is that if the plant herms, right, it was in my environment in the first place, so it already doesn't like something. Either it's touchy fucking genetics or it's fickle, which is kind of the same thing, of course. But you see what I'm saying? Like, why would I think that it wouldn't flip over again if the situation wasn't the same? I mean, whose grow room is really different all the time? Pretty much you run what you have. You know what I have?
I've tried to run something that's hermed like twice before. And
running at 10 if you're going to fuck with it.
Every now and then I've had it to where, it didn't really herm this time. And then all of a sudden, like, you're not watching it or paying attention, and it messes up your whole room, or and you're like, all right, fuck, I just get rid of this thing. I can understand when you're like really limited on genetics, or you're really limited on
my herm story. That's how I got
availability and things. You're just limited. You planting and you're getting what you got. I get it. I can understand that. But if you have the ability to like hunt some reliable genetics, or to hopefully you got somebody that isn't just trying to make a buck off you or something, and they actually have some reliable genetics. There's a lot of good reliable genetics out there, so try to source them, and keep in mind that even if somebody might not be doing you wrong, and they might tell you that it's reliable genetics, and you might have an issue in your environment, and you might get these genetics and you might herm it out, and you might get upset at somebody because they gave you bad genetics, but you might just have a bad grow room. And I hate to say that, but sometimes you have to check all of your
And
environmental factors
at
and
the other
things
side of the
also.
coin is sometimes when you are growing stuff out, you have to realize that these aren't F4s and F5s and all that good groupie shit anymore, guys. You are working with F1s, maybe F2s, really, if you think about it.
Yeah,
So
totally.
there is, of course,
Totally.
so there's two ways to look at this. You can say, oh my God, it's fantastic F1s. I have so much genetic variance. I can do these deep pheno dives and I can come up with the craziest unicorn shit that none of y'all have ever seen. You can, sure. But at the same time, who knows? It's not, as we used to say, stable. Because that used to be the big thing. Is, oh, is that plant stable? Remember that back in the day? Kind of, you don't hear people talk about that as much. I don't think.
That was one of the main reasons for like clone only. Now, speaking of clone only, and like the Granddaddy Purple is a clone only, and it herms, dude. It will herm. It's hermed on me many many times. When I first started growing that thing, it would used to herm on me all the time. It
You touchy fuck.
Yeah, dude, so touchy. And the reason I keep it around is because it doesn't herm at like day 28. It doesn't herm when it's
Yeah.
trying to, develop. It herms when it's trying to senesce and die. It's telling me, hey, you're running me a week too late. I'm gonna throw bananas because I need to propagate myself. And
Yeah.
so I I have to harvest it at that point. And it used to actually tell me when to harvest. And I actually used to use bananas as a way to determine harvest window. Because on certain strains, when I'd see bananas, I'd knock that day down and I would know I got to harvest either slightly before this day. And to me, that's the plant telling me when I
Sure.
need to harvest it, uh, for best results. And it didn't even matter what what the trichomes were telling me, because a lot of times trichomes were like usually on like the milkier side with a lot less amber, but
Some plants
it
aren't
was,
going to amber like that, though. That was like
and
bad
they're
grow
not
science in the
right.
beginning. Was, oh, you got to wait till it's like, well, some ridiculous shit like 80% amber. Like what? What are you talking about, bro? Now you got me running this thing like 27 weeks. It's dead, Jim. It's dead.
The rainbow driver, dude, the rainbow driver doesn't want to amber up, like it just want. And
Mm.
I'm like, no, I mean, there's no way this is a 10-week 11-week cultivar. I mean,
It's just not.
it's just
No.
not. It's just not. Like you can tell by like it's got like the OG to you know what I mean? Like it just got something to it that to me doesn't exhibit what those 10, 11, 12 weeks strike. It's just not
Right.
structured the same as those. It's not all fingery and all weird, like those ones. Not
Equatorial.
saying that they're all fingery and weird, but a lot of them are kind of fingery and weird. They're huge plants. They're sativas. You ever see that? What is it, Dr. Grinspoon or something? I mean,
Oh yeah, big book
all
of
that thing
buds,
is
baby.
a
Yeah,
bunch
it's
of
just
random bracts everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, it's all a bunch of little fingers.
crazy.
Because that is totally to me like that's a classic sativa, you know. Or I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I'm terrible with like
What, a classic sativa?
yeah, like lamb's bread or something, or like
Say something
uh
like Panama Red.
Panama Red. Yeah, there you go. Or like Colombian Gold, Acapulco Gold, or something like that. Definitely the Mexican varietals, I believe, would mostly be narrow leaf varietals.
Yep.
Telling you, man, it would be phenomenal to have a world market and be able to pull some good bud from those regions of the world, because it's commercial weed. You just don't see 20-week
Rob saying
varietals.
Maui Wowie. You know, one
You
that I
just don't
like
see.
is is it is it Hindu Kush? It's got that old school flavor to it. That, or is there used to be one called like Shiva or some shit a long time ago. I can't remember. Colombian.
When I was in high school, the like chronic or whatever, like the good weed, the green weed, the green weed was They called it Afghanistan weed. They called it Gans. I mean, that was like
So the Afghan.
as deep. Yeah, that was like as linguistic as it got. Like that's as far as it would get. It would get Gans. Was Gans? What is Gans? I don't know. It's from
You
Afghanistan,
would
I
have
guess.
got me on that trivia question, Brad. I would have failed.
Yeah, no way, dude. No, no names ever, man, ever. I never really heard names until I started hearing stuff like White Widow and things. Otherwise, it was throwback names like Colombian Gold or
Sure.
Acapulco Gold. Maui Wowie was another one that I would hear of, but would never like come across.
No, that's just they
Too
just charge you
throwback.
$5 more for that shit, Brad. You bought the name.
Oh, no, it never existed anyway. It never. I mean, I would ask for it. You get White Widow, and
Sure,
who
kid.
knows what it was. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. For what, $20, like a half gram or something, you get yourself a little like. It looked like a popcorn though. It was like totally white, beautiful little flower filled crystals. It's amazing. Had to have been like good hydro or something. I don't know. Um, Real good weed. I remember being a little bit younger. So coming into what like a majority of coming into like my 20s, I think was around the time that I was actually able to start getting good weed on the regular. Otherwise it was
Yeah.
brown. Always brown weed, dude. Unless I could get the Gans.
Downtown Julie Brown.
Dude, which was the main reason ever since I was younger. I was like, dude, this shit, I want to just know what the like it was a compressed flower. I have no idea what it even looks like. Like I see what a bag of weed looks like. It looks like a green bag of like these nugs or some stems, and could never really figure it out. So I always just wanted to grow a plant or see a living plant. I wanted to see how this flower actually grew because I'd like see these buds on high times and stuff, and I couldn't piece it together how like the bud on high times
Got you
turned
there.
into this crap flat thing
Yeah.
that was in this bag that had these leaves and shit on it. You know what I mean? I was like, how does this turn into this? I don't know, like the shit, this
Some
wheat,
back
like the
pocket
shit
weed.
that comes out of wheat or corn, like it looks like that shit. This is what they're fucking smoking. Like, how does that turn into that? Just because we're smoking crap.
Because you were 14, my friend.
I was 14.
Red, I gotta
High
let
on
you go to bed,
oregano.
bro. It's after 1 o'clock, man. You gotta get up early, man. I
Yeah,
know what
man.
it
I gotta get up
is.
early and get back at it.
Are you rolling
Got
another
more
joint?
planting to do. I'm rolling a joint right now. Rolling up a ramp.
Might
Got
as
all
well
this weed on this plate that I brought down here for this
Might as well.
fantastic show with all these fantastic
I don't know how many people we got left.
handies people.
What do we got? We've had a few people
I actually don't have. I have
go to
chat pulled
bed.
up. But
Who's
I
our super
don't
late people?
have...
We still have, it looks like 52 people chilling with us.
52 people kicking us. What's up, 52?
52? Let's see if there's any people that I have not seen to shout out on here. If I got you earlier, you just got double shouted. Let's see. No, we still got all the same people. Bag seat, I shouted you. Cheers. Smooth 420. Does a male need 12-12 light to start throwing pollen? I would say yes. Bag seats and gifts. No, we straight. Good. Just want everybody to feel like, it's all one community.
I've seen sexing on regular. I've seen sexing occur in veg.
But is it throwing
Both male,
pollen
not. It wouldn't throw
until
pollen.
12-12? Yeah, basically.
I would see them start to ball up.
Yeah.
In which case, I would usually kick them
Sure.
before I would see if they're gonna,
Yep. I've
turn
had
to
that.
flowers. But
then I've had other ones that don't show male until almost like day 20 before they really start to show. You're like, damn, okay, well, whatever.
dude, you're opening up a topic for this night
For this joint?
here.
Okay. We'll
So
get
since we're
into
talking
it.
about herms and we're talking about oh no,
Did you rip the paper?
I did, but I'm able to salvage it.
Red, tell me you have more. You get more papers. He
I
said,
have more
"Fuck it,
papers. I'm on my last pack actually. I know I said I got
living
3.
dangerous." What
I'm
brand do
on
you
that
use?
last
What
pack.
papers?
Raw blacks.
Why don't you just buy like a case of them on Amazon or wherever and get them way cheaper?
Okay, so I bought a pack of the king size raw blacks, which are awesome. But then I did a bunch of reading about how Amazon is just loaded with a bunch of fake raws and like different chemicals in the gum, different chemicals in the paper, just different things like that. And who knows if any of this stuff is even, you know, true information on the being on the internet, but at the same time I kind of took it as I don't know if I should trust the Amazon to get my papers, but at the same time, I smoked through this pack anyways, and it seemed to be fine. So I don't know. I'll probably try to use Amazon again in the future. I usually just get packs from my local smoke shop. I do like to support like local businesses and stuff. So
Buy them by
that's
the
he hooks me up
case
on
next
bonds and
time.
shit.
I want to give a shout out to TW
Yeah, I
and
agree.
to J and J
Easy.
Ingraham. How you doing tonight? Hopefully, everybody is joining us for the super late sesh. Probably, I can't say this is even the last joint because who knows? One of us might roll another one. Speaking
Right,
of papers,
right.
I am using this. I just bought a pack of the Eric carton of these from Amazon. These are my favorite ones. Iries. Anybody ever seen these ones before?
Nice.
Love them.
I think the first time I saw those was you showed me those. I don't know if it was live on a show or just kicking
Something.
it or what. You showed me the the papers. So raw blacks. I can't get like I was doing the raw 300s and like the
Yeah.
raw 500s for the longest time, and then I started the blacks are like thins, right? And so, all right, so paper progression. I don't know if I did paper. I might have did like I've done like blunt and like smoking progression in the past, but like I might have touched on paper progression. So like at one time
Blaze
it was
it red.
oranges
Blaze it.
for a while. Man, I should like this fucker, huh? So
Blaze it.
oranges for a while, and then whites of course started out with whites. Into oranges, and then I was like, ooh, the thins, gotta like thin it out. So I had the thins for like the longest time. Took forever to learn how to roll those thins because they rip like crazy. And then I got turned on to these raws because they sealed really fast. If I did the indirect sealing where I moisten the outside of the paper instead of
Back
just
roll.
totally, yeah, doing the old. Um, yeah, man, I just looked back of the paper and that sucker just seals right up. So I love raw papers for that reason. And then I found the raw blacks with like raw thins, and then I was like, oh man, I got thins, and it was great, it was perfect. And I can't get raw black 300s or
No,
500s though,
they don't make them.
unfortunately. Hear that, Josh? Hope you're tuning in.
Oh yeah. See, J and J use the OCBs. Yep. I like OCBs.
I think Sequence
Smoking
uses
brand.
OCBs, doesn't he? At least I
What?
maybe
I
his
wasn't even
no,
paying
it's
attention.
Trey. His tray is OC
Yeah,
says
the tray isn't OCB.
that's what it is. He has a tray that says OCB. Sorry about that, Sequence. I know you're a fellow raw user, actually.
Hey,
I don't know, man. I really like the papers, and I've seen some of that stuff Josh does where he like lights the paper on fire and just like turns into just like nothing left. Like it's
oh,
very,
there's
very
guys that
little
have done those
cellulose.
before. Is
Loose.
I think the one that won that was Elements because they use like a vegetable glue or
I think
sugar
Element was
glue.
his. I think he was Element before it was raw. Or he
Yeah, because
like
they like stood the papers
owned
up
Element at one
and then
time.
they lit them and you watched them burn
Yeah,
down to
yeah.
see what kind of. Yeah, man, I seen them.
Yeah, really
Fowler's talking
cool.
about those
Not
clear
much there.
papers. Come on, get out of here. Make me stamp it like a cat.
The gold
The
papers.
gold, that the
Ever
hundred
smoke out
dollar
of a
bill
dollar bill?
papers. Yeah, dollar bill papers.
You need. I'm not gonna smoke cotton, dude. No way. I don't know, man. I'm still curious about like the raw, not the raw. The what are they? The rose leaf, the rose petal papers. Yeah, rose petal papers. Pressed rose petals.
Oh, do you talk about the Randy's papers? Remember those ones with the little metal piece in them that turned into the roach clip, the Randy's
Oh
roach clip
no! Oh,
ones?
that sounds interesting. Really got the little
Yeah,
roach clip on.
Rob, I
Oh,
think
that's
that's what
pretty
you're talking
cool.
about. They used to have like a bread tie piece of metal through the paper, so when you rolled it up and you burned it, it was your like.
Get out of
Yeah,
here!
I think so.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. So the topic. I got this. I got this joint finally going. All right. The topic: Herms. We were saying. Do
24
male throw
carats for the next.
pollen and veg? We got to sexing and veg. Okay, so
Your Rob knows.
mature your seeds. Mature your seeds. We're gonna get there eventually. So the topic is mature your seeds.
Do you mean dry them?
No,
Do you mean age them?
no. Well, yeah, in a sense, I
Or
guess.
you're saying let them
So
go full term?
yes, you're gonna full term your seeds, and by that I mean like, all right, don't I know that you're anxious. We're all anxious to like we want to find our sex, figure out if it's a male or a female, because we want to take clones. Maybe we already have clones taken and they're taking up space, taking up energy and resources. Well, you could send some tissue to a lab and do it that way, but let's say you don't do that and you do it the old school way. Labs don't exist yet. Um, you can uh trying to stay on my point of thought here.
Stay on
So
target.
so don't do this. Don't just grow your plant to 2 or 3 nodes big enough to take a clone and then throw it in a flower to sex test. Why? Because your plant is not like mature in a sense of like vegetatively mature. So your plant needs to go like imagine a plant starting its cycle where there's just a seed in the ground. It's coming out of a frozen spring. Not in Michigan, but ideally we'd like to say we're in like May, right? So you know, already our light cycle is we're at what like I don't know like 12 30, we're like 13 14 hours light, otherwise you'd normally be flowering, right? But a seedling's not going to go into flower because it doesn't have the hormones really to do so. So it needs a good kind of, it needs to get into like its adolescence, and then it needs to get into its what I call like teenage years basically, and then it really needs to get into its adult phase, and it needs to then show sex really before it flowers. So if you're seed hunting and you're pheno hunting, personally, this is what I do. I will run a minimum of like an 8 week veg. Sometimes I'll go to 12, but I'll try to sex hunt. I'll try to sex test in veg
Yeah, for
before I
sure.
flip. And now I have found that the the plants that have hermed in the past, more than likely, were tossed into flower before. Uh, they were basically everything that I tried like sex testing by tossing into flower early was I was like, oh shit, it like herm. It would eventually just herm in flower.
Well, like Jay
Kind
and
of.
Jay is saying is that you can take a cutting and just put that in the flower tent though, just to determine sex and then destroy it.
Yeah, the point is allowing that sexual maturity though, so your plant, so you don't get a false hermaphrodite. You know what I mean? So like we were talking earlier about like running hermaphrodites twice. Like why would we run hermaphrodites twice? Because like false, I think
Three
false
times.
hermaphrodites like do exist, right?
Third generation herm terps.
Third generation herms.
Herm
When you're
terps.
running third generation herms, be sure to run it 3 times to
Maybe you could
produce
run it
that fourth
straight, like
generation.
the fourth generation would be like
You want to make sure
rock
that you
solid.
get
It's not even a
that
herm, dude.
fourth
It's just
generation herb, because the bananas are gonna be like
Donkey
extractable.
Kong. Yeah, extract.
You'll be able to pull cannabinoids off them.
Yeah, man.
So, no, I don't know. I feel like I also heard this in a podcast. So I have no idea who I can shout out, but they were also talking about sexual maturity, and that's what turned me on to like actually beginning my sex hunting in veg, and actually elongating that veg
Your
time.
herm dynasty.
Yeah, dude, and preventing this Herm dynasty that I was growing into. This like Herm farm that I was like growing over here. It's like
Herm
just couldn't avoid them.
factory.
No, I definitely ran across a handful of what I think may have been false Herms. And may have gotten
You
rid
just
of
pushed
like
them
some
over the edge.
plants.
Just well, because stress. You know what I mean? It's really stress, and if you think about it, if it's not mature enough, you're stressing the fuck out of it. You're trying to
So
force flowering.
I would say give them like 6 weeks. If you can try to give a seed 6 weeks, try to give it 6 weeks. Think of like May and think of like April, May, June. Like but like April, May into like June. Like 6 to 8 weeks. You know what I mean? And then even then the plant's gonna start to veg. And then you're gonna go another the plant's going to veg another 4 8 weeks, maybe 4 6 weeks. I mean, you're looking at an outdoor plant from seed naturally has probably got a good 12 to 14 week veg cycle. So that's, I mean, realistically, that's what I try to throw at the plant because I think that in my mind, if I'm giving it like a 2 to 4 week veg time and then forcing a flower on this thing, it's going to stress and herm, and
Yeah.
then throw a false herm at me. And I'm going to kick it, and it could have been fire. And in doing so, and in allowing most cultivars I've seen will throw male sex organs first, and then you'll start to see the female like um, I'm stoned stema pistol whatever you is that what a stema
Ah,
whatever it is the pistol come out. The female one usually comes out afterwards, but most of the time it does happen in veg for me. At least I force it that way. At least I
Fred,
keep them in there long
have you
enough.
been looking at chat?
No, dude, are they telling me to
Dude, no. Look
ring
at
the
look at
bell? Ding
chat.
the bell. Herm Farmer, baby.
They want us to start a support group, Red. You could be their leader for the Herms.
A Herm support
Herms
group. Herm's
Anonymous.
anonymous, dude.
I'm powerless.
We support you. It happens. Herms happen. Herms happen. There it is. Dude, we need a t-shirt now that says Herms happen and it's just got like three little bananas
No.
coming out of like top of
Got
a
any quote
flower.
coming out of this? It's either the Herm Empire or the third generation Herm Turks is where I'm going. Damn.
F4 Herm. Herm F4. They
No,
yeah, I've done everything, man. I've taken tweezers and sat there and plucked
think about
bananas for the first few days, and if the plant's small enough, you can totally
it. Don't do it
manage it.
later on because as soon as you squeeze it, she's the touchy one.
Seeded bud sucks. I've sat there with the magnifying, those spotlight magnifying glasses,
Yeah,
nice
man.
big one,
That's
got a nice
the.
little light on it. Harbor Freight special.
I just bought that one, dude. That's like the white one. That's like 13,
Yep,
14 bucks.
yep,
20.
not bad.
Yeah.
It's a good deal until you break the bulb. I think I can get the same bulb from box. I think the bulbs
Yeah,
are
let's go back and buy
disposable.
another one. It's all
Yeah,
disposable.
just gotta clean it up. Yeah, dude. So I sat there with a pick and a spyglass for days, dude, picking out like a room
Ace.
full of like seeded crop, dude. Just picking, picking,
Oh, look who
picking.
joined us. It's Tara Wilson. Cheers, Tara.
Cheers, Tara.
Where the hell you been hiding? She missed all this
Ready
herb
for
talk.
bed.
She would have been
Oh,
totally into it.
she did. Maybe that's where the ringing in the ears. She heard it.
Yeah. It
It was
was like a
like
dog whistle,
the
right?
sixth sense. Yeah, the sixth sense. The second sight was like, I need to tune in. I hear terms.
I see herb genetics.
I see Hermes.
Good times, Fred. Good times. It is 1:24 a.m.
But we ran another hour.
Oh,
You said we were gonna sign off at like 1:22, I think it was.
I was trying to get you out of here so you could get some sleep, so you didn't drag ass tomorrow morning and
Ah, no, I'm not gonna drag it.
shag it out there in the garden.
No, 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 no. Dude, you don't drag ass when it's beautiful, peaceful work that you're doing. It's yeah.
You get a bunch of birds this year,
Dude.
like way more than
We
usual.
well, they got these, I don't know if they're new or what they are, but they're like these little like bird treat block things. Miss Red decided
Suets?
to get a couple of these things. They're like square
It's
and they
like a
just
suet
kind of
block.
like a yogurt block. She describes them as they're filled with like peanuts and shit. I don't know, dude. They're
Yeah.
pretty gross. So and like 5 different new species of birds decide to infiltrate our yard, and they cannot be in the tree near my garden. They need to go to the other side of the yard, or else there's gonna be
Don't poop on my
bird
plants.
shit terps all over all of our cannabis all summer. I went
Is
out
it the
there. I was sitting there yesterday, and I'm smoking a joint.
is it the frost or is it the finch?
It's
You won't
frost for
know.
the fish, dude. That's great. I was sitting there yesterday, and I'm looking at. There's like 3 birds on the feeder. There's another 15 birds coming in. They're making a ton of noise. I'm like, oh man, my neighbor's gonna hate me, right? Like
Bird
they're gonna make
sanctuary
such a
jumping
noise.
off.
And I'm thinking like, what the fuck am I gonna do with these things? I'm like, well, I hate when people park in front of my house. I'm definitely gonna toss one of these things in front of my house. So I
Throw
might
shit
have to
all over their
toss one
car.
of these things in front of my house to keep people from parking in front of my house. But anyways, I'm not gonna do that because again, my neighbors park in front of their houses, and it's gonna, dude. We have robins. We definitely have a couple of different families of robins. I love the robins, man. They're like personable. They're really cool. They're fun to watch make nests and stuff. Anyways, we have like this male robin who just he's always kind of swooping in and kicking it above us where we sit. And when all this chaos is going on, he wasn't really around. He kind of like left the scene. He might have actually been. I think the female robin is in my neighbor's yard and his tree, and so all this is going on, and they're all like these little blackbirds, all these little random blackbirds, these little yellow, like bright yellow, like
Crackles?
frackle, is that what they're called?
Crackles.
Crackles? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they are. So, anyways, all these little fuckers are coming in, disturbing my robin population, right? And then all of a sudden, like, it got quiet and they kind of left.
So there's
And
a
all
hawk
these like
flying
little brown
around.
birds came in all of a sudden. Like a million little fucking brown birds came in. And then all of a sudden, like for like 5 minutes, this chaos went on. The blackbirds kind of came back and all this shit kind of happened. And then it got silent again. And it's like they migrate in and then leave. It's really weird, man. Birds are really cool. And they almost like take turns at it. It's totally crazy. Totally crazy. But yeah, man. And it's fun to have them like around my cannabis garden and shit too. I was like, all right, yeah, I kind of want them in the area because they'll help out with the pest pressure and stuff like that. But at the same time, that many birds is
It can be a
destructive.
nuisance. Yeah.
It's really it's way too much guano than what I want.
Right.
Way too much. Or bird dew or whatever you call it.
Bird duty.
Manure. Bird manure.
Droppings.
And if it wasn't a pine, it'd be great because I'd rake it all up and use it. But it's a pine, and I don't really want to compost with it. But it will be good. It'll be good compost elsewhere. But so we're gonna have to figure that out.
Cheers, Stephen.
Yeah, we got any new faces? Any new friends in chat here? Is it anybody's first time joining the show and kicking it into the late wee hours in Michigan here?
Rolling up on 1:30. Crows eat my strawberries. Bastards.
Crows. I thought it said cows until you said that. And I was like, oh
That's
man,
right.
you got cows? That's pretty cool. Even strawberries though, so
That's how you get strawberry milk, dude. That's come on. You're not
strawberry milk, dude.
Strawberry crow milk.
You gotta get a scarecrow. I don't know. I don't know for that one. I'd imagine crows are just probably perched right on top of a scarecrow.
Shit all over it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fritz says that they've been watching for a week or so now. Well, So
Nice.
hopefully you have enjoyed it and keep coming back. We appreciate you.
Yes, cheers.
Modern
And
genetics, chipmunks eat carrot strawberries.
yeah,
Tara,
we
did you catch any
appreciated
fish the
you
other day?
hanging out with us. What did you say?
I asked Tara if she caught any
Oh,
fish the other day, yesterday.
oh.
Showed a video of her fishing.
You just reminded me.
Oh shit! Here we go.
I need to grab a fishing license and get a fishing pole.
Yeah,
You
you gonna
just
find some
reminded me.
time to break away from the farm for that?
Yeah, I might have to do that this weekend.
Hell yeah!
So I'm trying to get everything all finished up.
You
I'm
got to
trying
make
to
sure
fishing this
that you
weekend.
take time for you. You know what I mean? Especially with a lot of people going back to work right now, and you're trying to figure out a new way to budget the time that you don't have. Make sure that you at least recharge your batteries, however that may be. I know that for myself, it's doing shows like this and getting to laugh and hang out with my friends. So this is how I recharge my battery. However you do it for yourself, definitely make sure you do
Yeah, so we go fishing on Father's Day every year.
that. Nice.
Uh,
That's right around the
my
corner.
yeah exactly. Two older brothers, and
Shout out to Daddy Red.
now I have nephews, and so we all try going fishing every year. It depends on a few logistics here and there, but I always get my fishing license, and I never get any fish that day.
Ah,
So
maybe
I don't
this
know
year.
if it's maybe this year. See what happens, man. I'm really excited to try to, I'm kind of doing it a little bit, grow my own food and stuff like that, but just one small step at a time, working towards being slightly self-reliant.
Sure.
You know,
You take
adding a
pride in
little
it.
bit
You know what I
more,
mean?
adding a little bit more resilience to my lifestyle and things like that. Yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know. I should have brewed up some compost teas or something. Some of my seed starts are starting to fade a little early. I
So
don't know
you
if I've
can't
put enough.
just tease that. You have to tell us basically what is a basic red setter farm, either a seed compost tea or a flower compost tea. What's your
So
get down?
when I start my seedlings are basically started in a mix of well, I use Tupper just because it's pre-mixed, but it's cocoa, perlite, and it has some humus in it, which is nice because it's aerated and it's light and it's going to keep it cool. Um, but I add a little bit of worm castings. So I did a 2-to-1. I try to do like a 1-to-1, but the way that I look at it is that there's perlite in the cocoa, so that's taking up some of the volume. So I kind of do close to a 2-to-1, or like a 1.5 to 1, 1 3/4 to 1 of
That's
the
the soil
Tupper
mix.
premix. Yeah, Tupper premix, which is just cocoa and that's Royal Gold Tupper
Yeah.
premix. Perlite, cocoa, humus. And then I mix that up with some worm castings, and then I do my seedlings. And cannabis seedlings are looking great. They've actually all stayed green right now, pretty well. I want to say we're in week 2. Yeah, at least
Oh,
into
we were
week
talking about
2.
compost tea.
Well, I want to hit everything with some compost tea only because like let's say for example like the corn is starting to like kind of fade and turn kind of yellow, but I do have like 4 starts in each cell, and they're like
Okay.
they're a little bit larger cells. They're like six packs, 2 at 10 by 20, so they're slightly larger cells. I also have like 4 cannabis seeds to a cell. Hemp, I'm doing a lot more of those less than 3.3% THC
Right.
out of last year's stock that I grew. So basically the auto
Gotcha.
one that's or the green room, I guess. Green room back cross, or not back cross, green room male with the green room female
Such a pain in the ass to try to
seeds. There
name
it
that
is.
strain. I
There it
know
is.
I. Yeah.
Yeah, green room male and green room female. Yeah, so I got a bunch of those, and those are gonna kind of get like co-planted with like sunflowers and squash and stuff. I'm gonna kind of try to do the whole like four sisters type of thing. Include hemp into like the three sisters mix.
Right.
And then so the corn is like kind of fading yellow and stuff, and I was just kind of thinking maybe um getting a little tea on there or something. But basically, I don't really have the resources to do a small batch. I only have a giant airlift, and I don't want to have to like rebuild anything right now. So I'm kind of like waiting to get everything like planted to do a large batch of. And I'm
Sure.
not even really doing teas because I don't want to add any sugars or anything. Because again, like similar to what Spartan says, I don't have any microscopes or anything to like make sure I'm doing it right. But what I do like to, I sometimes I'll add like a tiny amount of molasses, just kind of like inoculate the whole thing. But I only run it for like an hour tops. So I run it for like a half hour, just to kind of extract the goods out of like the compost. Maybe like mix up some recharge or some microbes or whatever, and then I'll go out there and I'll inoculate the entire garden with like the extract rather than like doing like a whole tea. And I just don't have the microscope and have the entire understanding or education to
Right.
do it properly. But sourcing, I can source a good tea or something, or I don't know, boogie brew or something like that. I think have a couple different like easy teas or something you can probably whip up or have different types of microbes. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a simple worm casting extract. I might even toss in a bit of my own personal homemade compost. Toss some of that in there,
Right.
and what I have is a like a 50-gallon brute, right? Big brute trash can with a airlift. So I'm gonna run my airlift for about a half hour, and I'm not going to put anything in a bag. I'm just gonna let it all mix up, and then I'm gonna go and take 5 gallon buckets out to the garden and dump them in watering cans and hand water it because
I was wondering if
I
yours was like a mixed thing or if it was a concentrate in so much as, at the end of the brew time that you cut it 50-50 with just regular dechlorinated water,
that'd be a great idea to make it stretch it. I guess it depends on how much 50 gallons is gonna take me, dude. That's you just changed my life, I think. Because I might get 50 gallons to like, I thought I was going to have to do like two or three. I might only have to do one because I
Do
really just
one
want to
stronger and
inoculate
cut it.
everything.
Yeah.
Like that clay is tough, man. There's no worms. There's nothing in there. I really need to get I need to get some organic matter laid across the top. I need to get a bunch of cannabis leaves laid down. And then I need to lay the grass clippings on top. And so
It's going to get
that
hot,
way,
though, isn't it?
no, I don't
Oh, it
think
shouldn't be
so.
bad.
No, it's not a pile or anything. It's just you peel it back. There's plenty of worms and life eating up on the cannabis leaves once. So you got the grass clippings basically covering the cannabis leaves. The worms come in and do the thing, and then I'll usually toss a dusting of the remaining like worm castings over the top of the bed. So hey, build a build a no-till bed from scratch, like I was kind of talking about in the beginning. Was like you got like flat ground. You might want to like pitchfork it or just kind of like lift it, dig it, and lift it up a little bit.
Oh,
At
man. Clay,
get your
though?
dimensions
Oh,
right. It's rough. You just gotta hit it, dig it down, and lift it up, and kind of aerates it a little bit. Get your shape aerated just slightly. You want a lot of grass. If you got a lot of grass, leave it. You want a lot of grass. What I like to do is toss a piece of cardboard on there. If you can tarp it for a few weeks
just,
till the
leave it alone
grass,
for
do
like a
that.
week or two, man, and come back
You
and
can do
it's
that
starting.
too. That always works. That's the best to do. If you can tarp it for a season, tarping for a season or ground covering for a season, what I like to do is like landscaping fabric and then wood mulch, because like the wood mulch you get all kinds of fungals and shit going. You get all kinds of fungal stuff growing on wood mulch. Then you peel it all back and destroy it and inoculate it elsewhere. But
Right.
then when you peel back that landscaping fabric, you got yourself dead grass zone, tons of worms and all kinds of life because they've been feeding on that fungal life that the wood chips have been going. So you already got yourself a start. So that always works if you got yourself a season and some wood chips to work with. You don't need landscaping fabric if you can get like a good base of wood chips, a good couple inches.
I
But I
always
like to
wondered
use
if that would
cardboard.
make things, if that fucks with the pH or anything.
It may fuck with the ability to you might have to use like extra nitrogen or something because the hard
It's
carbon is
eating it
gonna
up.
eat
Yeah,
it up.
hold it.
But again, it all depends on what I don't really mulch with the wood chips.
No.
Although I've been thinking about, I have some thought and theory about using it, replacing my walkways seasonally, and then using my seasonal, like, I don't know, like overgrown walkways basically as mulch, as a inoculant for the beds, because like my feet have trampled on it for the whole year, so it has like all my microbes going through
Well,
it. And then
there's
at the
microbes
same
on
time,
everything. Yeah, they don't have to worry about that.
there's just it has decomposed the entire season. And usually like that bottom layer is a lot of I don't know, there's probably worm castings in there. There's all kinds but there's a lot of humus. It's all humus, it's all decomposed wood, and it's real nice at the bottom layer. Like you got yourself like an inch, 2 inches of wood mulch. The bottom like quarter inch, half inch is usually all like, I don't know, looks like sawdust, but you can get that stuff into your beds. That's the best. I mean, yeah, you might rob some nitrogen, but you might be able to fix that somehow,
Sure.
some way. If you've got some cover crops going and clovers and some other things that are going to help bring in some nitrogen,
So,
it might
what are you
help
going to
fix
do
that.
tomorrow when you go out there first thing?
I'm
What's
gonna
on the?
finish planting. The cannabis has to get finished planting because I'm tired of having to spike it with jacks. I want to flush that
Transition.
out and get it organic. Yeah. And then everything else I don't want to feed jacks. Like all my vegetables and everything, I don't want to give any of that stuff like any jacks at all. I just want to, because I already started out with worm castings.
Right.
Most everything, like the cannabis seems to still be pretty green. It seems to be like enjoying that little dose of worm castings that I gave it. The corn seems to be yellowing out, and the sunflowers seem to be yellowing out. All like the herbs and everything else is all good, and most of the squash is almost starting and beginning to want to yellow out. But everything, all like the squash are like almost 2, 3,
So, what's your
4
quick solution
leaves
for
in already,
nitrogen like that?
ready to vine out. So time to go. Um, the cannabis, I would say, or the hemp rather, the hemp is 3 leaf sets in by now. I mean, they're ready. They're like ready to go too. Well past cotyledon, they're still green. So it seems like good couple weeks. Just the worm castings has done well.
Period. Yeah.
I want everything to get in the ground and start getting established with the minerals, and I really want to hit it with some microbes because I think that that's the biggest thing that's missing out there. Um, is that is just all that microbial life. So that's what we're talking about really, is like hitting it with like that extract. So I'm gonna try to like give it some good recharge and see if that'll help like start to get the minerals that's in the clay like going with the damaged corn roots and the damaged cannabis roots that's gonna occur when I pull apart those
It's going
seedling
to take a
starts.
few seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you pull apart transplants, like, so I know most people like they'll plant like two or three in a cell, and then they'll thin them with scissors and like just grow one. I usually just keep the seeds and I just pull them apart. I keep the plants and I pull them apart, and then usually stunts them for about a week. And they have to like try to transition back, but um, it seems to work out well, man.
There's a
And
question in the
eventually
chat
they'll keep
that
going. Yeah.
Oscar is asking about soaker hoses and the drip system, and that's what I use for my no-till bed. Is soaker hoses. I have two different ones. One is lower underneath the soil, and the other one it goes along the top. So I have those hooked up to two different reservoirs. They're both gravity fed.
I saw Dutch Blooms running soaker hoses off of blue mats. Oh,
Yeah,
that
they
was
make
pretty interesting.
uh, what's it called? It's like blue tape or something, blue soak tape.
Oh, I also saw a quarter inch line soaker hose. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's super small.
You make like loops and rings really easily.
Oh
I
yeah,
was thinking out
you
of
can
that.
buy those kits with those easily. Just snap it together. Look at Red's rolling another joint, aren't you?
Yeah, Death Star over here now. Dude, I look over and there's a little tray of weed, and I'm like, man, if I don't smoke it now, it's gonna go to the waste pile. It's gonna end up going in the compost.
Oh, Red, it's 1:44. You're gonna kill yourself in the morning.
I'm gonna sleep in probably. No, so, all right.
No, you
So what do we
can't.
say? What do I got to do? So I got to finish all that stuff. I got to finish the planting. That's for sure. So when I plant, I mix up because I'm going into clay. I mix up almost that same mixture without the perlite. Uh, I'm not I'm not going into a container, so I don't really feel the need to put a bunch of perlite out in my outdoor garden. So aside from what I use for my seed starts or my plant starts or anything, so I do I do a I do a little bit of basically a 1-to-1 ratio of cocoa to the um, compost blend. So if it was like awesome compost and worm castings, that's cool. What I do is it's like a topsoil and worm castings mix. So I do 2 parts cocoa, 1 part topsoil, 1 part worm castings, and
Okay,
I just
that's pretty good.
source topsoil from like box store, you know.
Yeah.
And then and then I do all that for like I'll dig my hole into the clay, and then I'll have my like clay chunks sitting up next to me, and I'll toss in some of that mixture, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, and I also mix in azomite and I mix in crushed coral shell, not coral shell, clam shell, oyster shell,
Mr. Shell.
calcium, yeah,
Yeah.
calcium carbonate.
Calcium
So
carbonate.
I mix all that together, you know, and I use couple scoops. I'm doing like a little, we'll call it like, I don't know, 2 gallon, 3 gallon tote, something like that. I'll do like, I don't know, a couple tiny little scoops of azomite, tiny little scoop of the calcium carbonate, mix it all up, and I'll inoculate. Well, not really inoculate, but I'll like bottom feed my clay hole, and I'll put in my plant start, and then I'll add a little bit, a couple more scoops of that compost cocoa material, and then I'll just start breaking up and clumping the clay on top. And then here's the most important part: is covering it up with some straw and grass and cannabis leaves and whatever shit's been just sitting there
Right.
decomposing over the last year.
Something
You
that'll
know,
break
pile
down.
it up. Yeah, something that's going to continue to break down and and give the worms the protection they want to come up in there and chow down and have a nice little buffet and poop on them roots. So
Oscar was asking if I have issues with clogging with the soaker hose, and I will say I do not, but that's only because I use them for water only. When I do teas, I have a submersible pump. It's a little giant pump which I have hooked up to a hose and a watering wand. So that's how I can apply my teas.
um it's probably not a huge deal. You probably don't kill a lot of them,
Yeah, I know. You
but
you
I've
kill a lot
heard
of your
that
life off if you do that. Yeah.
the propeller, impeller, whatever they are, they I guess shred them up. I don't know,
It
beat them
can.
up. They do whatever to the biological life. I mean, I've thought of trying to create some type of a water delivery system with like an airlift. Um, there's diaphragm pumps. Diaphragm pumps you can use, and that's basically a air diaphragm that pushes.
But it would have to be such a huge ram for it to be able to drive.
They're expensive. Diaphragm pumps are like upwards of a couple $100. Like
The
they're
real
not
pond
cheap.
pumps. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're real expensive. If you're trying to actually push some water, like a good like one, like in comparison to like a 1 horsepower pump or something, you're probably looking at like a $300 or $400
Yeah.
pump. You know, you probably don't need that for a little room. You probably need like a quarter horsepower, but you're still probably looking at like $100 pump. You know, so
Basically, yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
just
know.
like the airlift pumps
You
are.
know, it's
What do you have? The 1200? Is
make
that
you
what?
could always make more tea and justify you're cutting your lawn, you're making up for what's being killed, or you could do a hand delivery system, but then you
Have
have to
a
cart
green
water.
watering can too. That's kind of the pain in the ass. Is
That's yeah, you can do like watering can style, but then you're hucking water. I'm
Yep.
always trying to get away from hucking water upstairs or wherever you got to go from the reservoir or the bucket or the well or whatever it is. Submersibles have filters. Submersibles have filters. I usually
Yeah, they
take that
usually
stuff
do.
out,
But most
honestly.
people remove them because it's just a place that you can harbor bacteria and other bullshit that'll grow and fuck up your water.
Yeah, so the kind that look like little aquarium pumps and they have a little sponge filter in there, I definitely take out those sponge filters. Those are definitely like, to me, those are like bio filters. They're just old biological life. Most of the time, they are like biofilter. I think they're to protect the propeller or
Oh,
whatever, but
hold
just
on. For just saying
have it
sorry
clean, Raz. Don't push.
for his ignorance, bro. There's no ignorance, man. All questions are good questions in here.
Hell
Appreciate
yeah.
you
We gotta
asking
figure that
them, and
stuff out somehow.
appreciate people answering.
Yeah, just don't toss like rocks, perlite, anything that's gonna mess up your uh, propeller, dude. What is that? The impeller? What? It's a
An impeller.
magnetic driven impeller,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is
it's
that
an
what that is?
impeller. Yeah,
All right, not gonna mess up that silly little thing. It's plastic and usually on a magnet, and that thing alone
it
could
has to be
damage.
broken down to that point. When you clean your pump, it doesn't just mean wiping out the outside. You have to actually break it all the way down. Look at your owner's manual or go online. It'll show you how far you can take it down. But you should be getting to the point where you're taking the impeller out to clean it every time in between runs.
I actually will take, if we're all thinking of the same type of
Yep.
pump, like a pond pump or a
Yep.
basic aquarium pump. Um, I'll also take off that cage and I'll just get rid of that
Yeah.
cage
For a
too.
water pump. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes that stuff can be plumbed and it can like be used as like kind of like an inline pump. You could almost like run a piece of tubing
Yes.
off of the in
Yep.
part,
Then you could get a barb
off
and
the
hook it up.
inlet.
Sure.
Yeah, if you really needed to maybe direct it down somewhere, something, you know what I mean? So I mean those type pumps are actually really cool. I thought the question was geared towards different types of pumps. Actually, I was thinking of
Well,
sump
diaphragm
pumps.
is an air pump,
Yeah, I
and a
actually use a sump pump
submersible is a
in
water.
mine,
Yeah.
and I have like a screen filter in mine. And I was thinking of the screen filters
It's probably the
rather
same one
than
that Oscar's dealing with.
quite maybe. Uh, yeah, these ones have like if you're gonna use a back pressure relief, I don't know,
Oh yeah, dude, I know what
fixture
that
or
is.
whatever.
Yeah, the
Or they
big
also
ones.
have them on what are they? The resistors, the water resistors, whatever the hell they're called. Anyways,
Backflow
the
prevention.
little yeah, no, but they got screens in them anyways. They're little filters in them. I usually take all that shit out too, and
It all
make sure
comes
I
out.
just clean it all regularly. They'll clog, man. Yeah, you must, you know,
I had
all
a
that
buddy
stuff
who
ends
had
up
an '81
really
Chevette that
good.
was like that. He was like, you know what? Fuck this vacuum leak, dude. I'm gonna fix this, and proceeded to remove most of his fucking vacuum system like a moron. Cheers to that dumb dumb.
Car didn't work too well after that. Did.
Red, how are you not rolled with that thing? I'm like, I rolled up when you were there, and I'm like, been chiefing on it. You're still over there,
Oh, so I've been like looking at this
multitasking.
tray, and this is the tray of like the salad shit that's like kind of left on it. And I'm like, I don't want to mess with it. There's got a lot of stem, there's a lot of leaf. There's some good
Uh,
stuff in here, really, but there's some stem over here. But
what's on
anyway,
your?
this is the weed on this tray that I've just been piling. Look, this is a nice clean. I've been sitting here swishing this pile around and breaking up weed. Um, I don't I think with my fingers. I don't even, probably mixed between the fingers and the scissors. But I sit here and I spend all my time breaking it up. Really, it's not the rolling that takes a long time. It's how long I spend breaking it up because you know I burn a good joint. I don't like it running. And I probably already broke. Yep. See, found one of these on the ground the other day.
Had to
Can't
save them.
waste papers. All right, I'm gonna mute so I can roll this thing because it
You got
crinkles.
it. Yeah, Oscar, you're talking about the figuring out the gallons per hour pressure wise. Yeah. Basically, the thing I've found is I've never went smaller on any pump. I've always went bigger, and then especially when it comes to an airlift, uh, they are noisy. So because you'll be using one of the industrial air pumps usually rather than, um, you know what I mean, the big silver noisy one. One thing that I do is I suspend mine with the like the rubber bungees, the old school black flat ones that are rubber. I keep it hung up so that it doesn't vibrate as much. It doesn't make as much noise. Also, put a small piece like a silencer of hose on the end of it. You know how you have like the barb that comes off the back of it. I found that if I put like a half-inch piece of tubing on there, it made it quieter. Obviously, it does something probably detrimental to the pump, but hey, it makes it quieter. So it's a trade-off.
That's actually the other reason why I don't brew is the noise in that pump because when I brew, it's
The
out. My
industrials,
brewer's all outdoor. Yeah, or outdoors, and
and they get
the
hot, so
plugs
it's not like you can
outside.
really like cover them with like a bucket or something because it'll get hot as fuck in there.
I thought about like making an insulated box that would kind of like sit over it, and I was thinking if it had like maybe a computer fan in it, or it actually sits on my deck so the bottom's vented. And I was thinking,
But the
maybe there'd
sound
be
will come
like
out about it.
put a little hole in it or something. It would be enough to kind of deaden the noise a little bit, but like so. I can run it for an hour or whatever during the day. That's not really an issue. But like to run it overnight or for 36 hours, whatever. I just don't. I'd rather have it
So there
maybe in
is a
my
solution
house,
to
and
that. There is a
I could run
solution
like
to that.
a half-inch line, hole in my wall, and run the airline outside.
Well,
It's
or you
not
could
really that
get
big of a deal
two
if I did that.
two pumps that are the same gallons per hour, but smaller, so half. So let's say
Oh,
instead of trying to take the noise of a 1200, you might be better off running two of the smaller pumps, and it won't make as much noise to your neighbors for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
might
Ostensibly,
work.
could
That may
possibly
work.
be. You never know. All growers have a junkyard of shit that you've like upgraded through.
It could also be twice as loud. I don't know.
It could be, in fact. But then they'll be hard to triangulate the sound because it'll be coming from two different sources, even though they're a
Well, you,
mere
you could put one on one
55
side,
gallon drum
put one on
apart.
one
They will
neighbor, and
be
the other
different.
one in the other neighbor,
Exactly. They'll be blaming each other. It will be all
really
good.
far apart.
A
Just
grow
get
and
a
we
lot
will
of
go.
5/8 tubing, 3/8 too. I love it, dude. That's a good idea. Oh, the trash. Just toss a trash can over it. Toss some holes in the trash can. Anything's better than nothing. I mean, it would, it'd be better than nothing.
Get a
Trash can with some
styrofoam
holes in it would not be a
cooler.
bad idea. That's big enough to like not melt. It'd be far enough away from that thing. I don't think it would get too hot that it would melt onto it. Put it up on a brick. Get a nice little airflow. Oh, got to do a lot of easy swap pot cleaning. I just thought about that. I was supposed to actually do that because that's the other part. So, actually, first thing in the morning, I talked about I'm going to go out and transplant. Actually, it's finish up what I was doing in veg today. Clean a couple of trays and moved the next round, like the next 12 that are going to go out to the production. And then some clones have to go into some easy swap pot half gallons, some tuber, and they're right on time, man. Everything cloned up real nice. A good solid like 7 to 10 days. Nice roots, and they're about probably 3 weeks in the cloner now. They're all starting to like root together. They're to the point where they're starting to grow, and I want to get them out of there. So,
Sure.
I hate vegging in the cloner. So get them into some new shoes. So that's the tomorrow's task, and I think I might have to actually clean out a bunch of those easy swap pots. So I had a whole bunch sitting outside,
Right.
I'm definitely gonna have to clean those suckers out. So probably gonna do the old taupe and bleach water and the soak, and I'm gonna be able to do it outside because it's not
Sure.
winter with 2 feet of snow, and I'm not gonna have to do it in my kitchen like I've been doing, dude, in a bucket.
Oh,
I'm gonna actually get to go hang out in the sunshine and clean easy swap pots. It's a lot easier job.
easy swaps.
Yeah, dude, way easier, man. Because I don't know, man. I haven't really cleaned them in a couple rounds, so I have a bunch stacked up. And I don't think I'm just gonna do the amount I need. I think I'm just gonna go through and just get them all clean.
For sure.
Knock them all out. Might as well.
Little sunshine to sanitize at the end.
Yeah, got to go out to the production facility tomorrow and check on everything and make sure it's all watered up and good. Check on that strawberries and cream. It's
Excited
new
for
out
that.
there, man. It's my first time running it. That and the
Yeah.
Citrique. So I also have to check for herms. Speaking of all the herms, man,
Oh,
gotta do that too.
oh man, I'm fucking old. It is 2 o'clock. And unlike you, who can go on very few hours of sleep and get up and go scrub pots and check herms, check for hermy boys, it's been a long one.
I hear you, Scobo. I'm sorry I kept you up so late, man.
No, you're
Joint after
good.
joint after joint. I was ready, dude. Hey, I was gonna tell you, hey, Scobo, I can only go till midnight tonight, dude. I can do an
That's where
hour
we
show,
started.
man. I
Was
gotta,
like,
I
he's
gotta
like,
get to
I'm so fucking
bed.
tired. But
I
then the
gotta go.
sour D got a hold of you.
You know, it's I was pretty tired, man, getting into the beginning of the show, to be honest. I was just, I don't know, hot day, man, sunshine and everything. It's not so much like lack of sleep or anything, overworked or anything. It's just hot, hot and a lot of walking on wood chips and stuff,
A lot
blisters
of
and shit.
manual
So
labor, bro.
yeah, man, it's like the throbbings there and stuff. So like I really needed to just get baked and get the pain gone, and I haven't felt my legs or anything throbbing. The pain's working its way out.
I haven't felt a damn thing, right?
This last, what, dude, we've gone for 3 hours now. It
Yeah,
has
Fritz just said that you're 2 hours late, Red.
2 hours late.
And Rob's telling us it's only 1 o'clock in Oklahoma, so you know.
I know, man. I know, right? The other side of the Midwest finally just starting to hit the late hours. Yeah, that's it, man. I think that's a wrap for tonight for sure.
So we
I agree
appreciate
with you,
everybody
Scobo.
that has hung out with us through all of our zaniness and always fun stories that Red brings to the table.
See Fitch 24, Fritch 24, sorry. Love Michigan community. That's exactly why I rambled on for an extra
Exactly.
2 hours and was so late. It was this community, man.
It's just
Woke me up,
it's a good time.
gave me a
And
second wind.
you are the wind beneath Red's wings.